Who are you, man?
Milk Crate Marauder is the shit.
He's all dressed up today.
Do you think that should continue here in the US as well?
You're gonna have to go louder.
Mr. President, people in India would be welcoming your decision to extradite Tahabur Rana to...
I can't understand a word he's saying.
May I, sir?
You in prayer for our president, Donald Trump. Damn. I'm feeling the spirit. I'm feeling it. I'm going to speak in tongues. Here it comes. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Miss Yo, Peter Pinker Mouth Mouth. Alaga nam 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 nam. La 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 dippity ding di dong. Ooh la la gaga Roma. Ooh la la gaga blue 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 red 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 red. Finishing the hat. Finishing the hat. Thank you all for praying with me. I'm glad Michael's in the house.
This week I'm also creating the White House Faith Office, led by Pastor Paula White, who is so amazing.
If I have some fancy little poem, stir it up, strike and strike and strike and strike and strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Amanda ata ata rata deda baka sanda ata ambo osa tata rite eke banda ata rite didi ashata. The angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus. From South America. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. From Africa. From South America. Angelic forces. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement. Pika hata anda ata. Ora bata rata ande eke eke mata rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. 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 I hear the sound.
I love your channel. It's the greatest, most magnificent YouTube channel of all time.
Bye, Bing.
Ding. Bye-bye. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up this White House meeting in a nutshell and keep up, okay? Because I'm going to go kind of fast. Well, what happened? Zelensky decided he wanted to invite the media in, and Donald J. Trump and Vance was like, that's fine. We ain't got nothing to hide. We don't know why you want the media in here in our meeting, but okay, that's fine. We don't care. So the media was there, so we saw the whole thing unfold. What really happens behind closed doors when you see them presidents and leaders really negotiating and going back and forth, that's really what be happening behind closed doors. It's not nice. It's not pretty. Okay, I digress. So everyone was there, so they got to witness it. And they were basically saying, Trump said, look, we want a ceasefire. We want peace talks, all of that. But what's going to happen, you're going to give us a stake in your minerals. Because we've sent you a lot of money. We sent you troops to a war that you knew you weren't going to win. So in order to kind of even the field, kind of get that back, how about you just give us a stake in your minerals? Well, Zelensky started kind of talking with a little air in his chest. I think he had a lot of pride. I think that's what it was. And Vance kind of shut that shit down. Vance started asking him questions like, come on, man, we done did all this for you. He said, you kind of arrogant. You got a lot of air in your chest and you ain't even said thank you. We basically done saved you, and you ain't even said thank you. You real arrogant around here. That's basically what Vance was saying. So Zelensky kind of decided he wanted to talk even more greasy, right? So he went to talking, and then at the end he said, and you gonna feel it too. That's when Trump stepped in and was like, ho, player, wait a minute. You ain't even in a position to tell us shit. You can't tell us what we gonna feel, because in the card game where we playing cards, you ain't even got no cards. If it weren't for us, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. And Trump said out his mouth, he said, that stupid ass president, he didn't say stupid ass, but he said stupid. He said that stupid president sent you all of that money and sent you them troops. They kept talking, and Trump was like, let's stop that right now. We just gonna stop with you telling us what we gonna feel, because you ain't in a position to tell us shit. All right, fast forward. They kept talking. They kept going back and forth. Trump said, look, you toying around with World War III here. We trying to give you some peace talks. We trying to get a ceasefire going on around here. And you walking up in here with the air in your chest. Like, what's going on, my guy? He kept talking greasy, and Trump said, look, if it weren't for what we sent you, you wouldn't have lasted 2 weeks against Putin. He said, I done talked to Putin. Putin ready for a ceasefire. What's your problem? When he said, you wouldn't last 2 weeks against Putin, he gonna double down. Zelensky gonna double down and say, Putin said we wouldn't last 3 days. Donald Trump shot back and said, you wouldn't even lasted that long. At the end of it all, because he had so much air in his chest and so arrogant, Donald Trump said, all right, you can leave, player, but don't call us back until you're ready for a ceasefire or talk some peace or do some negotiating, because this what you doing. He said, you're not going to last, and you probably going to start World War III. So get your head right, player, and come back and holler at us.
Look who's on the phone, Donald Trump.
Oh.
Look at this.
See, now he's acing me out.
That's right. He's moving you out. Our old friend Donald Trump, who, you know, is doing very well for himself.
Got a big franchise on NBC. I told Howard that I'm watching this season of Celebrity Apprentice.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's doing great.
Yeah.
Are the ratings going up, or do they stay the same?
Well, they're very solid. They've been doing great. In fact, they just extended us for 2 more years, and next year they're doing a regular in the fall, a regular Apprentice.
Yeah, you haven't done that for a couple of years.
Well, they haven't. We went to Celebrity, and it worked out great, and the other was doing very well, but we said, let's put some celebrities on, see if we can get them. And now, you know, Joan Rivers, your friend, won last season, and she became hot as a pistol. I mean, she told me the other day it's one of the most incredible things that ever happened to her in terms of people recognizing her, believe it or not.
Aren't you shocked that celebrities, you know, agree to do something like this? To me, it seems like a lot of work with a lot of potential embarrassment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, but, you know, you take certain people, although he wasn't such a celebrity, the country singer, as an example, he became the #1 country singer all of a sudden. And you know, Piers Morgan did a great job, and now he's got his own show. And
But if you were on, let's say the situation was reversed. I can't imagine you ever doing a show like this and being a contestant, but like, what's their motivation even to try hard? You know what I mean? Like, why, if you're a celebrity, would you care to win Celebrity Apprentice? What do you
know,
think?
it's interesting because I ask myself, some of these people, you see how hard they're working, Robin, as an example, on the show. I mean, they work so hard. And to a certain extent, it's to protect their brand. I mean, once they do it, and then you'll have people that quit. You know, Daryl quit.
Right.
And I don't know
what does
happened.
that say about a guy? Daryl Strawberry's a quitter.
Well, it was a bad thing for him to do, I think, but he had a hard time doing it. And, you know, Michael Johnson, I don't know exactly what happened with him. You saw that last night.
Yeah, he never said what was calling him home. He just went home.
I didn't want to get in. You know, you could see the attitude was, my attitude wasn't so great.
Right.
But, you know, I think it was a lot of crap. But Michael Johnson did something that I think he'll regret. But, you know, they work very hard, Howard. It's amazing. Would I do it? I don't think I'd do it. But
no.
I will tell you, every season we go out, everybody wants to be on the show, especially since, you know, Trace Adkins, in all fairness, when you talk about celebrities, he wasn't that much of a celebrity. I never heard of him. He was a country singer.
Right.
I never heard of him. And before the show ended, he had the #1 record in music. I mean, he had the #1 record.
So, in other words, the record business has changed so much that if you go on a show like The Apprentice, it could probably catapult you to a #1 slot on the charts.
Well, you know, he was sort of funny. He said, you know, Mr. Trump, before I did this show, I couldn't get a ticket to the Country Music Awards, and now I'm hosting them.
Wow. Well, hey, so it works out well.
Amazing.
So it really does make sense if you're a certain type. I mean, Trace is an extreme example because he became the biggest country singer.
Isn't it amazing when you think about it? In 2000, 2009, Jesse James, who now is all over the front page of the newspaper for his,
his antics
for cheating on Sandra Bullock. But it is amazing. Like, you had him on. Like, I didn't know that much about Jesse James. In fact, I had him on the show because he was promoting your show.
Right.
And, it seemed like a nice enough guy to me. I had a good time with him. But the whole time in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what's Sandra Bullock doing with a guy like this? I mean, he's in a whole different universe with the tattoos and the biker thing and all of that. And
whole different world.
Yeah, right?
Well, I became the resident expert on Tiger and Jesse James because I know Tiger, and I obviously know Jesse. Jesse was on the show.
What'd you think of the guy?
Jesse?
Yeah.
He's a very interesting character. I used to ask him, I don't know if you saw that, what I did, Robin, by, watching, but I would ask him, what the hell does Sandra Bullock see in you? What does she see in you, Jesse? I mean, you're not like a great-looking guy.
Right.
I'm not a big tattoo guy, Jesse. You got tattoos all over your face. I mean, all over your neck, all over your everything. And, I don't get the tattoo deal, Howard. I mean, I see guys with tattoos, I say, what are they doing to themselves, right?
Well,
but that's not my world. It's a different universe.
It's a different universe. I feel sad for him in a way because, in a way, you straightened yourself out too. I mean, you had a bunch of marriages, and I don't know if you cheated or what, but you did, right? Okay. So
we'll just go on.
But what I'm saying is, like, he had a good thing going with her. She was taking care of his kids.
He was like Cinderella. He got to the ball, and the prince picked him.
I mean, I've learned a lot growing up, and I think you have too. Like, you got to learn at some point in your life to value what you have, right?
Yeah.
You do.
Well, interesting with Jesse, he really seemed to love Sandra, but he never brought her on the show. And he could have won, or at least gone further. If you remember, I kept saying, why don't you bring, like they'd have a task.
Right.
And the task was to get a crowd and get the crowd to give money and all sorts of things, right? Now, if he would have had Sandra Bullock, and she was a hot movie star and is a hot movie star, they would have had a big crowd. I said, Jesse, why don't you bring your wife? And I thought he was very protective of her. Probably in retrospect, he was screwing around. He didn't want to have her around, right? But I got to know him very well. He was a very sullen guy. The other cast members, many of them didn't like. One or two did a lot.
Right.
But many of them hated. I mean, we had Clint. Remember Clint Black?
Yeah, Clint Black, the country singer.
Oh, man, he hated Jesse, and Jesse hated him. Those
really?
Had it.
No kidding. So it shows you that he's not the easygoing guy.
Sandra was a little off in that pick.
They went at it like you wouldn't believe. And just if you spoke to Clint Black, you ought to call him, ask him what he thinks of Jesse. It was unbelievable.
Nobody's interviewed him. That would be the interview.
So is it true on The Apprentice he would sleep in Hitler pajamas?
He would. Let me put it this way, Howard. He was a very different kind of a guy. He was. I'll tell you what. He was really tough, and he was really smart. He was a smart guy. It took me 3 shows to realize the guy had a brain. The guy was so quiet.
Right.
And so sullen and such sort of a nasty guy to the other cast members. But he was respected in a certain way, and he was really smart. And it took me a while to find out. But I said to him, what the hell does Sandra Bullock see in you? You must be great in bed. That's all I could figure out.
But you were right, in a sense. The tattooed girl, who even had her face tattooed that he was cheating with, said, quote, that he had an enormous penis.
Oh, well, that's something I didn't get into on the show, although in retrospect I should have.
And they say anal was involved.
So you take the tattoos off that girl.
Go ahead.
Is she good looking? Is she great looking?
I don't think so.
Well, I think without the tattoo she has a shot.
Right. Well, she has a really good body. Let me ask you something. I'm assuming now you don't cheat at all in your marriage, right?
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
You're not lying.
He's going to say, well, a little bit.
Right.
Would
you?
Yeah. Could you imagine, hey, Robert, could you imagine if I say, no, Howard, it's not so? Could you imagine?
You've always been honest.
But the next day, I could just see what would be in the newspaper.
Really?
Yes.
Listen, would you say...
absolutely, you're right about that.
All right, so you would say your first marriages,
were experiments.
They were experiments. In other words, you didn't have the understanding you do now. So when these women all say, once a cheater, always a cheater, can you say, no, you can reform? Is it true?
Well, I would say absolutely. I mean, I would say that, first of all, did anyone ever say that I cheated?
Well, I'm saying you did.
Well, I remember the stories of Marlo and Ivana being at the same Ski resort.
Yeah, but nobody ever said I really cheated.
That's true.
So I guess they implied it.
No, but I'm saying, listen,
in fact, come to think of it, they implied it in the strongest of tones. Right?
You have banged some of the greatest beauties on the planet.
That's true.
Okay,
that is true.
And eventually,
some of the greats in history.
And yet you stopped and got married again.
That's right.
And I'm assuming you're on the level now, right?
100%.
Is that true?
100%.
So how did you stop doing that?
Well, you have to be in love with somebody.
Right. You are in love.
I'm totally in love. But you have to really love somebody. You have to be with somebody that you like and have a relationship with, and a really good one. And you lose interest. And it's always good to be really busy. I'm really busy. We've been doing great. The company has been doing the best it's ever done. And
how much money are they paying you for Apprentice now? Are they giving you some good bucks?
A lot.
They are.
Yeah. Well, it's ratings. Your business, Howard, is a very simple one. You learned that a long time ago.
Right.
I said to somebody the other day, if you get good ratings, you can be the worst human being on earth. You can treat the executives like the worst, like they're
vermin,
right?
Right. Now,
and you can be, on the other hand, you can be the nicest person in the world, and if you don't get ratings, you're gone.
But you're as important to that show as Simon Cowell is to American Idol. Do you own the show?
Yes, I do. With Mark Burnett, yes.
So I would imagine you're making at least... Maybe I'm crazy here. I don't know. Could you be making between $50-60 million a year off of just that?
A lot.
Am I in the ballpark or am I way high?
In the ballpark.
I am.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? But
wow.
I could tell you two stories, but that are sort of Lorne Michaels. When I hosted Saturday Night Live,
right?
I said to Lorne, the ratings were through the roof. In fact, it was the #1 show at that point. It was for a long period of time. I mean, it was doing great, and it continues to do great. It's crazy. But I said to Lorne, Lorne, it won't always be this way. Someday NBC will call me, and they'll say, Donald, the ratings aren't good, and we're going to have to terminate the show. He said, no, Donald, you're wrong about one thing. They won't even bother calling.
Right. But what do you think, seriously, what is it about you? Do you think, there's a lot of billionaires out there. And, what is it? Why do you think here you are, you're the most.
I honestly believe it's because I'm a very handsome guy.
But wait a second.
Looks are very important, and I think I'm a very handsome guy.
But wait a second. In a sense, you're in the most unglamorous business. You're a builder by trade.
Yeah, but it's glamorous. I put real estate. I used to want to be a movie producer. I wanted to make movies. In fact, when I was in high school, I always wanted, and I was going to go to USC, School of Cinema.
Right.
I was going to do movies, and then I realized, my father was a builder in Brooklyn and Queens. I was in the real estate business, and by osmosis, because when I was growing up, I would listen to my father on the phone, and you learn things, right?
But your father would never have tolerated you going to be a film student, that kind of thing.
Well, he wasn't exactly thrilled, but that's okay. But that's what I wanted to do. So I sort of put theater into, I put movie making into the real estate business. I made it a glamorous business.
You did.
Trump Tower is this great building. I have Trump buildings all over the place that are incredible buildings. I have the best golf courses in the world. I have a lot of great stuff, and I've made it, I think, very glamorous.
You have. And what happened when you were going to sue that guy who claimed you were only worth a couple of $100 million, and you said, listen.
Well, I'm worth now $6 billion, and he wanted to write a book. He tried to write a book, and a book that totally failed, by the way. I hope I helped in that regard.
Right.
But he tried to make it, he tried to diminish me, and I don't mind. I'm diminished all the time, and sometimes they build me up too much, and sometimes they build me up not enough. But I'm worth over $6 billion, and this guy tried to, make it like, oh, gee, and the bottom line, he didn't sell books. He couldn't sell. He's a terrible writer, by the way. He's a terrible writer. But he couldn't sell books.
When you're personally worth $6 billion, why bother doing anything anymore? I don't get it.
Because it's fun,
It is
fun. I just have a good time. Hey, look.
Is it fun having all this? Is it fun having all these people, responsibilities, and?
Well, I have a lot of responsibilities. I had one bad responsibility over the weekend. Somebody who worked for me, 47 years old, an unbelievable guy, an executive who worked for me, passed away, died.
Of what?
Well, probably went to the dentist. You ever hear of the dentist stuff? You remember Steve Florio, right, from Condé Nast? He went to the dentist, and you get an infection, and it affects the heart, and then you have a stroke.
Oh. Wow.
And this is what happened. It was a chain of events that were unbelievable. This guy who was a phenomenal person went to the dentist, got, I guess, an infection. It affected his heart. He had a stroke. I mean,
That's
this is the strongest guy you've ever seen.
Wow.
Had a stroke and died. And, by the way, that happened to Steve Florio at Condé Nast, who was a great friend of mine. Went to a dentist. I'm afraid to go to a dentist.
And he got an infection?
It seems that way, yes. It would seem that way. That seems to be the theory.
Wow, that's awful. Have you been in touch?
That happens, by the way, a lot.
Have you been in touch?
Beware of dentists.
You're not. Well, geez. Have you ever have you been in touch with Tiger Woods?
Yes.
You have.
Well, I know Tiger. I like Tiger a lot. You know, Tiger, when he does clinics a lot, he'll use a lot of he'll use my golf courses, and I think Tiger's really a good guy. And Tiger, boy, and
do you think he's a sex addict? Do you believe in sex addiction?
No, I believe people like sex a lot.
Yeah, because
people
you could have been
people like me.
Yeah, but wait a
Tiger.
second. He doesn't need that. Even in your worst day, you didn't need sex that much. I mean, it's almost like
you don't know me that well, Howard.
No. Did you ever have 2 to 3 women in one day?
I have no comment.
Wow. No kidding.
Look, I like sex. So do you.
I love sex, but I mean, to the point that the guy, I don't even know how he had time.
I don't know that he had 2 to 3 in one day. I don't know if that's ever come out. I'm not sure that that's come out.
Did he lose because he's distracted?
He didn't lose. He played great. I mean, you know, Tiger played unbelievable. I found it hard to believe that he could make the when you don't play golf. It's a very, very tough game, both physically and mentally.
Right.
And the fact, with all of this stuff going on around him, with the wife and the whole thing, and I personally don't think they're going to get back together, but that's right.
I don't either.
And by the way, I think he's much better if he doesn't.
Right, he should go be single. And
I mean, every time he walks out there, she's going to say, "How dare you, you son!" You know, every time they have a minor argument, it's going to be like a mess.
They could never repair what they had.
This is too severe. This is the ultimate in severity, right?
Sandra Bullock won't go back to Jesse James, will she?
I can't imagine it. I know her quite well. I did a movie with her. She asked me to be in a movie that we made about a year ago.
Nice girl, right?
Excellent. I mean, she's really nice.
But you've talked to Tiger since the scandal.
What's that?
I say you've talked to Tiger since the scandal?
Yes.
Oh, how's that?
Well, I just like him. He's a quality guy.
But is it a weird conversation? Like,
do you bring it up?
Do you bring?
You know, his agent, Mark Steinberg, is a great guy.
But wait a second.
No, he's a great guy.
Well, I'm talking about.
He got me that Oreo. You know, the famous Oreo commercial with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning.
With the two Donalds.
Which I got the commercial of the year.
Yeah, but wait a second. I got to ask you something.
So I like him.
All right. You read about the scandal. How long do you wait before you make that phone call?
Well, look, you know, first of all, it's none of my business. And
right.
I don't know what's going on with him and his wife anyway.
Right. She's hot. She's hot, though, right?
Yeah, she's good. Fine.
What? You don't think she's that hot?
It depends by what standard. What standard are you judging?
I'm judging her by all the beauties in the world. Who is the hottest chick now
Yeah, well, what
today?
standards are you using, Donald?
I can't. Well, I have a very high standard. Howard knows because he got me in a lot of trouble once. He went over a list of 15 supermodels.
Right. But wait a second.
Do you remember the list of supermodels?
Yes.
And he'd ask me, how was she? How was she? And I was married at the time. You know, this was not a good question to be asking.
But hold it a second. You don't think she's hot enough for Tiger Woods?
Good. I think she's beautiful.
What are her flaws? Seriously.
I don't want to say.
No, say it.
I don't want to say. I think I don't know her.
In other words, is she a 10?
No, I'd say she's a solid 9.
A 9?
Solid 9, yeah.
All right. So what is she missing?
I don't want to say.
Please, I'm begging you.
I don't want to get involved.
You will not be involved.
I like Tiger too much, and I just don't know.
But well, you've met Elin face to face?
Once quickly.
All right. And you looked her over. And you're probably, I would say, the greatest judge of beauty on this planet. In fact, I would create a TV show for you where all you did was just judge women.
Now, that may be the best idea of all.
It's a simple thing. It's a half hour, and we strip it out all over the country.
I would say I'm the all-time judge. Don't forget, I own the Miss Universe pageant. I own I own all that stuff.
And you improved it.
So the great Carrie Prejean and all these people.
Is
now, there's an example.
But wait a second. Don't change it.
Howard, just to get you off the subject for a second.
Is Elin, there's something.
Well, Elin's very beautiful.
Yes, but why is she a 9 and not a 10?
Well, 10 is a very, very sacred territory. Howard.
Is her ass too big?
It's very sacred, just like being on your top 5 of all time. You know, I'm on your top 5 of all time.
Mr.
Right?
Trump, I'm asking you directly, is her ass too big?
No.
Okay. Body perfect?
Very nice.
There was something that troubled you.
What is it, the face?
No, she's very nice. I mean, is she a 10? You know what a 10 is?
Who is a 10? Just so I can know, besides your wife. Who is a 10?
I don't want to say. Well, I would say the current Miss Universe is a 10.
Okay. So Elin is a 9. So something was off.
An 8 to a 9.
Oh, an 8 to a 9.
She's slipping.
She's going
down. She was
down.
a solid 9. Now she's an 8 to a 9.
That's right.
I just mentioned the current Miss Universe.
And that knocked her down.
So what is it that made her an 8? Was it something flawed in the face or the body? Or both?
Nothing. She's really nice. I mean, she's great. But
You're holding back on me.
All fairness,
I'm shocked.
In all fairness, Tiger should go out, should have lots of fun, and play golf. And
I agree.
The key for Tiger is going to be he has to win. He's got to win. He played great this weekend, I thought. He played amazing. Phil Mickelson played unbelievable golf.
Yes. But Phil Mickelson now, they're kind of treating him like he is the anti-Tiger. His wife has cancer. He's with her. The 3 beautiful children walked out and hugged him.
Right.
Tiger would not have had that scene as the winner.
Oh, right. So it's like Tiger's now the bad guy.
You don't think Phil ever cheated, do you, Howard?
Do I? I wouldn't. Believe me, you think
but what would you think?
I'd say no.
Okay, good.
What do you think?
I would say no.
Are you saying you know that he's cheated?
No. I'm just asking you, do you think he's cheated?
Based on the 3 seconds...
That would be, that would be a big story.
Wait, I got to ask you something before...
Hey, Robin, that would be...
That would be huge.
Donald Trump has a new show I'm going to tell you about in a second, but first I got to talk about this. Your daughter recently got married.
Right.
Okay. To a Jew.
That's true.
She became a Jew.
That's true.
Now, what the...
You hear the disappointment.
Well, you know what?
I hear disappointment.
No, because he's a great guy.
Did you wear...
He's a great guy, and it wouldn't matter. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but he's a great guy.
Did you wear a yarmulke, the Jewish hat, at the ceremony?
No.
Wow.
Well, it's not a big deal.
It was a Jewish ceremony.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. In fact, it's possible that one did slip on my head for a little while.
Is it true you refused to wear the yarmulke?
No, that's not true at all. That's not true. She's a great girl. She's a beautiful girl. Every guy wanted to get Ivanka. Every guy
I love her.
With her.
I was going to marry her.
Every guy wanted to be out with her, and she just loved this particular guy, Jared, who is a great guy, and I'm happy with her decision.
You're okay with the religious thing?
Yeah, I think it's great.
But you're a guy who's a country club guy. You know how they talk in the back room.
You used to banning these people.
I mean, back in the day we could ban Jews from the club, and now all of a sudden we're married to one.
Right, and I have all these clubs, and she can't work on Saturday. Right?
There was a report that you stomped on the yarmulke.
No, he's really a very good guy, and I think they have a great marriage. I'm sure they have a great marriage.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
And she has made. Well, let's see. You're a grandfather.
Well,
your son.
I have two through Don.
Is that killing you? I mean, I've heard that you hate to be called grandpa. I'd be the same way.
I'm not a big fan. I don't feel like a grandfather. I'm not a big fan.
Why don't they call you like DT?
Well, they're not allowed to call me grandpa.
What do they call you?
They don't call me anything yet because they're so young. I like it that way.
Someone told me you're so taken with your daughter now being Jewish, you're making a Trump mezuzah that you're selling.
That's right.
Is that right?
Well,
all right, now listen. Donald Trump has a new show. He's hosting something called Donald J. Trump's Fabulous World of Golf.
Now, why Donald J. Trump?
Well,
it's funny. That's an interesting question. Somebody else asked me that the other day. Donald J. Trump. Every time I use Donald J. Trump, something turns out to a big success. Sometimes when I'll use Donald Trump, I don't know, I've had good luck with it. Does that make sense, Robin?
Okay.
I've had good luck.
All right. It's a sort of a superstition thing.
I don't know what it is, but Donald J. Trump's Wonderful World. It's Donald J. Trump's, and for some reason I've had really good luck with the J thing.
I was researching this show. Mm-hmm. You, of course, did a smart thing. Donald is the host of this show. It's on the Golf Channel, which I didn't even know there was a Golf Channel because I'm not a golfer. But you got as a co-host a super hot chick who's a golfer.
Right. Oh, I did worse than that, though. It's called Donald J. Trump's Fabulous World of Golf. And, there was a show called Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, and they'd always have a professional golfer as a host, and then they'd get another and you'd have these two guys. And it was really a wonderful show. I decided to go differently. I'll be the host. And, for me, it's easy. It's quick. It's all shot only at my courses. I have courses, 11 of them, and it's only shot at my courses. But I picked beautiful women. And here's what I did. They're supposed to be experts, but then I said, oh, to hell with it. After 3 or 4 shows, I said, let's get Miss Universe to be a host. Right. So I get up. I say, do you know what this is? She's from Venezuela. I say, do you know what this is? No. This is a golf ball. Do you know what this is? This is a club. But she's standing there in these little shorts. I mean, what I'm doing to the golf world is, when you think of it, right?
So it's good.
But it's great. great, and people love that show. They love it. So, I have fun with it.
For anyone who's a golf fan, you can watch Donald Trump, or if you're a fan of hot chicks, they're going to be paraded out there as well.
So let me ask you, Howard, you did Howard Stern's, the top 10 moments in the history of Howard Stern,
That's
right?
correct, yes.
Now, I have 2 of the top 10.
Go ahead.
I'm on 2 of them.
You are on 2 of them.
Are they still 2 of the top 10, or
Yes.
have I been relegated down to 1 of the top 10?
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about your A.J. Benza fight is one of them.
Well, that was one of the all-time classics.
And I'm trying to think what the second one
I don't
was.
know. I was down for 2.
You were. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I mean, you're good.
I think it had to do with the supermodel thing that you got me in such trouble with.
Yeah, that was good.
The next day, I was in such trouble, you have no idea.
Why are you all of a sudden afraid to talk about women, their flaws, and give them a number?
Because I'm intelligent.
Why? No, wait a second. Stop it.
He's getting too nice. He won't say anything bad about anybody.
I'm becoming very diplomatic.
The thing with Elon, I don't
Maybe
understand.
I'll run for office. Right?
I really don't. Like in the old days, you would have said to me, "Look, here's what's wrong with her."
Right.
I mean,
No, nothing's wrong with her. She's beautiful. You're asking me, is she a 10?
You got her down to an 8.
Very rarefied.
She's an 8 and dropping.
You know the term rarefied? That's called rarefied air. 10 is very rarefied, Howard.
I am one of the worst. Like calling someone after a tragedy or something terrible happened. I admire the fact that you picked up the phone and called Tiger Woods during this. What I want to know is how much time, like how long ago did you speak to him?
I don't want to comment on speaking to Tiger. I just don't want to. Because he's under such pressure.
But how do you start the conversation?
But I think it's amazing what he did over the weekend, that he played so well.
Okay.
Is amazing.
But when you pick up the phone and call him, like, do you say, hey, look, I'm sorry about what's going on with you?
No,
or you
I just respect Tiger. I have a lot of respect for him.
So
and I love him because he uses my places. When he does a thing for Nike, he will... he likes to use my courses, and that means he must like me. And
but how long is the conversation? Is it a superficial?
I don't want to comment. No, I don't want to comment on the.
Well, wait a second. Let's say I get into a tragedy of some kind. You all right?
A massive tragedy.
Right. You call me up, and do you just ignore the topic?
Well, you're in a much different situation than Tiger. Tiger is in a mess, okay?
He is.
Tiger is in a mess. I never thought this could have... Tiger was the most perfectly handled human being in history.
It's true. Did you know he was having all these affairs? You knew, didn't you?
No, I don't think a lot of people. I guess a lot of women knew.
You didn't hear?
Well, the people at MGM had to know.
IMG. I think the people at IMG probably must have known something, right? I guess. Who knows?
Isn't it true Tiger cried on the phone when he spoke to you?
No.
That was the rumor.
No.
So how long is the conversation? Is it a 3-second conversation, superficial?
I don't want to talk about the conversation. It's such a personal thing, Howard, and he's such an amazing guy. And just let him get on with the golf and let him win and let him have every woman. I mean, this guy will go through women like forget it, and nobody will care.
The rumor is you taped the conversation between yourself and Tiger Woods.
I did not. I don't like taping conversations.
So you're telling me, I'm just asking in general terms. I'm not asking for any specifics. You made a phone call. You picked up. You have his personal phone number. And you picked up, and I guess you got him on there, and you said, hi, it's Donald Trump, how you doing? And it was a lengthy conversation or a short?
No, but Howard, it doesn't matter anymore. You know why?
Why?
Because he's now come out, he's playing golf again, he's playing really well. People were surprised that he played so well. And, I happen to think that he won't get back together.
Right.
I happen to think that he's better off not getting back together.
Do you think she was I happen
to think that he looks better and a lot cooler if he doesn't get back together. I think if he gets back together, he's going to look like a henpecked guy because everyone knows as soon as he comes into the house, the door's going to be locked, and, it's going to be impossible, all right?
Can he ever go back and get the sponsors he used to have? Can he build up a brand, or is it permanently ruined?
He can't get those sponsors. He can get other sponsors, but I don't think he can ever get those sponsors. First of all, you could make the case, a 2% case, that they were disloyal to him. They dropped him pretty quickly, all right, other than Nike. But they dropped him pretty quickly. So, but I don't think he could ever get those. He had the Rolls-Royce of sponsors. He had the great sponsors. I mean, and you can never, I don't think he can ever go back and get those sponsors. How about the housing development he's doing in North or South Carolina?
Ruined, right?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's in a lot of trouble to start off with, but, because of what happened with the world and the economy. But, that was based on Tiger Woods and family values.
But
how about the developer building that sucker?
I know. He's got to be in a panic, but
I have to tell you, that developer, I saw an interview recently, and he was very loyal to Tiger.
Yeah, he's stuck with him.
Credit.
But can you imagine building a brand where all you have to do is basically sit back and they throw the money at you for commercial endorsements because he's squeaky clean, everybody loves him.
Over $100 million a year.
I mean, can you imagine losing that? He must be going insane.
Well, and losing it for what? Because, when you talk about the women, what did you think of his choice of women?
I actually thought he liked it down and dirty. In other words, I have a theory that Elin probably was not that great in bed. You understand?
Well, she's a nice girl.
She's a nice girl.
Okay.
I interviewed many of the girls. We had a Tiger Woods Mistress Beauty pageant.
Oh,
we should have had
that's
Donald
right.
as a judge.
I saw that.
Well, I was going to call you to judge, but
I saw that. I would have been a fantastic judge. Absolutely.
We crowned the girl. Each of the girls was very different, but it seemed to me they were very
Okay,
sexual.
now who was the best looking of the girls?
Well,
Not the one that won the beauty pageant. I was very disappointed in you, Howard. The one that won the beauty pageant.
It wasn't about her.
I saw that on one of the shows. The one that won the beauty pageant should not have won.
You're wrong, because we were looking for the best mistress, and not only was she cute, but she was a great mistress because she was really, truly in love with him. She was everything a mistress.
You don't know that, though.
I could tell.
You could, okay.
She was the best mistress. She was.
You are a professional.
I'll tell you how I know she loved him.
Okay, what about the stripper? Did you think the stripper was good looking?
Yeah, but too stripperish for me.
And it's Gloria Allred. She's got to just, oh, man, every time you see her, it's like, give me a break.
Why do you think she represents these women?
I don't get it. And I hear that a lot of money was given to the one, Rachel.
Yes.
Who is, just...
Why did he give Rachel Yucatel $10 million?
I don't understand. Well, I don't know that he did that, okay?
Right.
I don't know that he did it. But when I watched Gloria Allred representing the stripper, and the stripper was crying, although I have to say, the stripper was pretty good looking. Do you agree?
Yes. She was just on my show.
In fairness, a lot of people say, oh, that's a terrible thing to say. The stripper was pretty good looking.
But none of them were nines, certainly like Elin, but I think it's a thing about sex.
Did you think the stripper was a 9?
I thought the stripper she was just on my show. She's very good looking. And she does a position where Tiger would, and I'm going to be a little bit graphic.
Right.
All right. Tiger stood her on her head. Listen to this.
Spun her around.
No. He put his penis in her behind and then would put his fingers in the vagina, and she would squirt all over him. And now, I don't think Elin was doing that. You understand?
I have a feeling Elin never heard of this before.
I think that's completely foreign to her.
Right.
I think, one thing we have learned...
Have you ever had that position? No.
I haven't. But
exactly.
One thing we've learned about Tiger with definite.
Right.
He is not gay. Do you agree with that?
He is absolutely not gay. And listen...
I remember you interviewed one of the great interviews of all time. You interviewed a guy who was saying he only had 1 or 2 events with a man, but that he wasn't gay. You said anybody that had 1 or 2 events with a man is gay.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. You know it and I know it. How many events have you had with a man?
0.
Exactly.
Not even a thought.
You're a real man.
In other words, with all that I've had, I've never had a thought. There's never been like a big thought process,
Even when you were young, let's say a priest or something?
Prep school.
Boner fight?
No, never even like a thought. In other words...
It was written about you had a boner fight at prep school.
Let's put it this way. During the event, right?
Yes.
There's never a thought of Jimmy or Ronald or any of that. No thoughts.
Isn't it true when you were at prep school there was a boner fight between you and 2 gentlemen?
No.
No? Okay, it must have been someone else.
No.
All right, listen to me. You're on a roll. I'm happy for you. I see you're still feuding with Rosie O'Donnell. No patching that up.
No, I'm not feuding. I don't think about... Every time I go on, they ask me about Rosie O'Donnell. She's a loser. She's terrible. She doesn't have very much talent.
She's coming back to TV.
I'll tell you what. She's got a great agent. She keeps losing. Her variety show drew flies. She drew flies, right? Nobody watched it. Her other show, they threw her off the air. They did, The View, she chickened out. She was afraid of Elizabeth Hasselbeck, who I gave great respect. I gained a lot of respect because she really beat the crap out of Rosie. And instead of just showing up for another 2 weeks, she quit, like a quitter. And now her agent gets her probably another show. So I say whoever Rosie O'Donnell's agent is, he's a great agent. But Rosie is, I know her. Hey, Howard, she went to my wedding.
Well, yeah.
Come to think of it. So
I like Rosie. I just was on her show here. It's serious.
Oh, you did? You like Rosie?
I like her.
Oh, okay, well, that's good. Hey, maybe she's...
I'm going to bring you two together.
Listen, I'm sure she's
You think you can make the peace?
I'm going to make the peace with you two.
She must be a fine person.
I'm going to make the peace between you two.
You know who likes Rosie? Cyndi Lauper on The Apprentice.
Yeah, she likes her too.
I said, where were you, Cyndi? You're late. I was with a friend of mine. Who? I had no idea what you was talking about. My best friend. Who's your best friend? Rosie O'Donnell. I said, Cyndi, you're fired. Actually.
Right. You got to write off of there. Listen, one last question. If you weren't married today, who is the woman you would be chasing? And I'm going to say it's Kate Beckinsale.
No? No, I would, I mean, if I weren't...
Go ahead.
You know, I would never, I don't even think I have, I better not get into this conversation.
No, come on. If you were single.
This conversation gets me nowhere.
Donald Trump
this conversation, Howard, this conversation is nothing but trouble.
Sounds like a man who's been trained.
Absolutely.
You know what? Your wife's had it out with you, hasn't she?
When you once told me recently, you said, Donald, let me ask you, if your wife, who's a great beauty, was in a massive automobile accident,
that's right.
Would you leave her now, or would you wait a month?
Yeah, what is the proper amount of time?
That got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, what is the proper amount of time to leave your wife after she's been in a massive car accident?
Although I did give you a great answer. I said I would never leave. In a million years, I would never leave.
You were smart.
You thought that was a brilliant answer.
No, you were a gentleman. I remember you said 2 months.
No.
And I always thought it was a month, but I thought you were a true gentleman saying that.
Would you leave immediately, or would you wait the better part of a month?
And your marriage is going strong.
Yes, very good.
And sexually still pleased.
Very good.
No kidding.
No problem.
How many times a week are you down to?
Down to. You're
Come
right.
on.
Down to. Yes, down to. You understand the business of marriage, don't you? Huh?
Can I ask you a question?
We have a very good relationship.
I want you to help me out with something.
Go ahead.
So when you're horny,
right,
and in marriage, you know, and you've got a kid, a young child at home, there are times your wife's just too tired to have sex with us, and you understand. Do you masturbate to take care of the problem?
No.
When's the last time you masturbated?
A long time ago.
Honestly?
Sometime previous to knowing women.
Really?
It's a lot of work. You know what? It's a lot of work and it gets you nowhere. You know.
I'm shocked to hear you say that.
No, I'm not. I was never big into that world.
I want you all to watch Donald Trump's...
Let me ask something. No porno. You don't sit there on the computer and...
No.
Hey, by the way, when Rod Blagojevich was on Apprentice, who was the former governor of Illinois...
Which really caused a stir. I mean, that guy was amazing.
Did you like Rod Blagojevich?
Yeah, I thought he was a nice guy.
Now,
I think he tried very hard to be nice, too, which was very smart, because, you know, he's got a trial coming up, like, in weeks.
You know, Donald was very smart, too, because he pointed that out when Blagojevich was head of the team and he had to make all the decisions. He would never say that anybody deserved to be fired.
No, he was calling the other cast members ma'am and sir. Yes, sir.
He's on good... How many years could he...
He's calling Michael Johnson sir. Sir, would it be okay if I spoke?
How many...
Yes, Governor. He was so nice. You know, he wanted to keep the black vote, okay?
Yeah.
He was so nice.
He's still, like, going for the voters.
I said, you can't be this nice. Illinois politics is pretty tough, right? I said, you can't be this nice, right? You got to let it come out. And you know what he was doing? He was playing to all of these people that are potential jurors, and I think that was probably very smart.
Will he go to jail?
I think he might win.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think he might win. I mean, you know, I felt badly for the guy. I felt sorry for him. And, you know, say what you want. I've known a lot of people that get into this kind of trouble, and they crawl into a corner, they go home, they want to go home to mommy, or they commit suicide and lots of shit, right?
Right.
This guy, I mean, he's just out there.
That's what I'm saying. That might be crazy.
He goes, my name's Rod Blagojevich, and I'm not guilty as charged. This is the way he introduces himself to everybody.
And he says he's ready to fight in court.
He wants to fight. He's really, I mean, you got to hand it to him. Like him, not like him, whether you respect him or not, the guy is a fighter.
Did you used to hang out with Bernie Madoff?
No, but I knew him because Palm Beach. You know, I have the big place in Palm Beach, and he'd be at Mar-a-Lago, or he'd be at my golf. I have a great golf club in Palm Beach, Trump International, and he'd be there.
Did you ever
His brother was a member or is a member of Trump International, and
did he ever say to you, "Listen, you know, you should do a little investing with me. It's just crazy. We know each other. Come on, I can make you a good return on your money."
Well, I'd speak to him, and I'd see him at, you know, I have at Mar-a-Lago, we have all the big events, all the big balls, because I have the big ballroom. And
you have the biggest balls.
And I see him. It's always nice to have that.
Yes.
And I see him. I'd see him. But then I'd say to people, who do you invest your money with? And they go, Madoff, of course. You know, they look at me like, am I some kind of an idiot? Madoff. Right. And I say, who is this guy Madoff? Because if he ever goes down, this whole country is going to go down. And it turned out, I mean, it was like a disaster. But these people, like you know, like you say to somebody, where'd you go to school? I went to Harvard, or I went to Wharton, and they put their chest out, right?
Right.
I say, where do you invest? Why, I'm with Madoff. Like, I'm saying, who is this guy, Madoff? And he turned out to be a total crook.
But why do you think you were smart enough not to invest in? I mean, you're after a good return on your money, and you hear the guy's returning 10% on your investment. Why do you think you never invested with him?
Well, I'd hear stories about him because Palm Beach was, you know, I used to use the word ground zero, but now after World Trade Center, you don't tend to use it. But Palm Beach was ground zero for Bernie Madoff, right? That was the ultimate, right?
Right.
And all these guys, one guy puts in $200 million,
right?
And then, which is everything he had, and then he mortgaged his house for $10 million. In other words, he wanted to get a little bit more.
Good Lord!
Right.
Okay? And by the way, he's now looking for a job. In fact, I think I'm going to hire him as a caddy next week.
That's terrible.
But they put in 100% of their worth into this one guy.
And you would never do that.
He was gilt edged. Yeah, I was down there. I mean, I see it, and I didn't know. What did I know? I like to invest my own money. You know, it's called like let me invest my own money, Howard.
Right.
Okay, you do the same probably, or no. You have an investor actually. I understand. I know who your guy is. You have like a guy that invests your money. Be careful. But you know, I like to invest my own money, Howard. It's like I can watch CNBC and say I'll pick Johnson & Johnson just as well as somebody else can say I'll pick Johnson.
So in other words, when you go into the market,
5%.
When you go into the market, you sit there, you look at the stocks, and you pick the ones.
I've never been, and I feel foolish for the last year, but I've never been a stock guy.
Right.
Of course, I felt great 2 years ago, you know, when the market crashed, and I'm saying I've never been a stock guy. But I've never really been a stock guy.
In other words, you put all your money in real estate.
Well, I put it in different things, or you know, stupidly today you get 1% on your money or less, right?
You put it mostly in bonds and things like that.
Yeah, I've been sort of, you know, as I've gotten older, I've become conservative, and I don't know what's going to happen. The stocks are going up, but I watched them go up, and then I watched them come crashing down, and I had a lot of very unhappy friends. So it's a crapshoot.
So what should a guy who's listening now invest in today?
Well, I think today is a great time, and I wouldn't have said this 2 years ago. In fact, I didn't on your show. If you asked me this question a couple of years ago, today's a great time to invest in real estate. I think this is the time to go out and buy a house, buy an apartment, buy stuff, get it from a bank. The bank will give you great financing because they already have it.
Because the thing is, right now, the market's depressed, and now's when you buy.
This is a great time to buy real estate.
Is that what you're doing right now?
Yes, I bought a lot of it. I just bought 850 acres in Washington on the Potomac River. That's so phenomenal. It's incredible. I've been after it for years, and I just got it.
And you will develop that into...
Yeah, it'll be phenomenal. I mean, it's a big development. But, I mean, I bought a
Robin,
lot.
why don't we buy 850 acres on the Potomac?
Like
because Donald doesn't tell us about these deals.
No, I tell you the day after I buy it.
All right, listen, I love talking to you. I ran into your daughter. Boy, is she looking better and better.
She is beautiful and great, and she really does have a good marriage, so that's nice.
She is some catch.
Well,
not anymore. She's caught.
Oh, believe me, she'll be on the market again.
Oh, stop it.
She's going to get tired of that guy.
I miss I haven't done your show that much lately, and it's so much fun. It's very invigorating.
You're busy.
I have been busy, but, you know, it's like your show is great. I mean, there's a reason for success. There's always a reason for success.
Right.
You know that, right?
And I'm usually the reason.
You are the reason. You are the reason, and Robin's a big help. So
yeah.
Have a good time, folks.
All right, listen. Have fun. And as we say, als only met glikt. You understand?
I do.
All right.
I do.
I said that wrong. All right, thank you.
Bye, Donald.
Bye. The great Donald Trump. There he is. Going off, and he's got 850 acres now on the Potomac, and we have nothing to show for it. We have nothing on the Potomac.
Who this?
Do you actually work for ICE?
No, not at all. Nope.
Explain the outfit.
It's $29.99 on Amazon. I would recommend buying a small if you're my size. This one's a little too loose for my liking. But yeah, if you want some entertainment, wear this and go to a Home Depot in a sanctuary city like where I live right now, Washington, D.C., and you'll see all the illegals, not all of them, but you can maybe see a lot of them start to run away, and you feel like a group fitness instructor. It's really good.
And you actually think that's funny?
I think it's hilarious, absolutely. What's not funny is them illegally...
There you have it, everybody. One of the worst people I've seen here at CPAC, and that's saying something.
Cocksucker.
Speaking of on the line, on our phone, is Donald Trump, thank God, because he heard me the other day say, hey, we haven't heard from Donald Trump forever.
I thought we had been dumped.
I thought we got dumped by you.
I would never dump you. I'm too smart to dump you. I would never do that. I listen all the time. I love you guys. I'm a top 5 in Howard Stern history. You
are.
Right? Top 5 segment. We have a top 5, and you rebroadcast it many times. I get calls from people. Oh, did you hear? But that's a top 5. I think still is a top 5, Howard.
Yeah. Oh, please. It was ridiculous.
Good. That's a great honor for me, believe me.
You know Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
I do, very well.
Hey, would you describe his behavior? I mean, listen. Men and women for years have always cheated. We always act like, like people ask me about Dan Marino. I mean, listen, this goes on. You know that. But it's an unbelievable story because I don't think people are willing to admit it. But they can't believe because that woman was so, let's say manly looking.
It was hard to believe it was.
It was.
When I heard the maid, I figured this gorgeous maid with a little black dress.
Right, like a French outfit, the whole thing.
That's what I was looking at. I was thinking that little white apron and it's gorgeous, beautiful. And I said, well, I guess a thing like that could happen. And then I got to see the maid like everyone else, and I was a little surprised. You know, I know Arnold well, and I was disappointed because he did not do a good job as governor. And I have property, beautiful property out in Palos Verdes, and I needed a little help from the government on something, and Arnold was absolutely, totally unable to do it. Something he should have been able to do.
Were you, when you know a guy, and he turns you down on something, in some way do you say, hey, maybe he is a good governor in the sense that, all right, he even stood up to me and he did what he thought was good for the state, whether he was right or wrong.
Right. Well, this was a positive thing I was asking for. I mean, it was very, open and very positive. And I was asking him for something. It's actually a tax that they have that's so ridiculous, it's driving people out. So I really called and complained about it, and they should have done something about it, and they didn't. And I usually write those people off my list. You know, usually when you're friendly with somebody and you help somebody, I've always helped them, and you help somebody, and then, they're not there for you when you need.
But if he's the governor.
One thing has nothing to do with the. No, it's got to be the right thing, Howard.
Right.
No, I don't want him to do the wrong thing. I don't ask for the wrong thing. When you ask him for something that's good for the state, and they should do it, and he doesn't do it, I don't know if he didn't try or he couldn't. It could be that he couldn't.
Did he at least take your phone call and hear you out?
Yeah, he took my call. He knew exactly what I was talking about.
Right.
It was a bad thing for the state. And, it should have been done. So that's not like, it's if I asked for something wrong that was bad, I'd understand that too.
Have you seen him, though, since the scandal?
Just once briefly.
What do you say to a guy?
He's a different guy.
He's
a different guy, yeah.
Really?
It's a big blow. I thought his book was ridiculous,
Why was it ridiculous?
Because I don't think you're right about your scandal. You go on.
Right.
I think the only thing I saw that was more ridiculous was Lance Armstrong's deal, where he went out and just committed financial suicide. He's going to end up with nothing.
Right.
He should have just gone away and relaxed.
Right.
And let everybody say whatever they wanted to say. He didn't even have to comment anymore.
So it looks like he might even go to jail.
He could. He's just a dead man. When I heard he did that interview, I said, that's financial. So I said, does he have a good lawyer?
Well, do you ever say to yourself, who are his people? He's just a dumb bicycle rider when you think about it. When you really analyze it.
It turned out he was a dummy, or there was something wrong with him. I mean, it's a form of suicide that he did. Now, he could have left. I saw it happening about a year ago when he said that he's no longer going to fight. Remember that, right? That was a year ago. All right, well, that was bad. But, you could say, hey, he's been fighting for so many years. Maybe, okay. Then he comes and he says, I'm going to, plead stupidity is what he pled.
Right.
And he did this thing with Oprah, which was great for Oprah.
Brilliant for Oprah.
It was wonderful for Oprah, but I mean, I watched that and I just couldn't believe it. And
but let me tell you something.
Howard, everybody that he sued wrongfully,
right?
They're even the ones that didn't really do the money thing, they're all suing for their legal fees back. He's going to end up owing hundreds of millions of dollars. The government's going to get their money back because the Postal. Can you imagine the Postal Service sponsoring a bike deal?
Yeah, right.
I mean, to start off with, how ridiculous.
Right, how does that happen?
I used to watch that. I'd say, that's interesting. But he won, so what the hell? He kept winning this thing, right? But the Postal Service spending millions and millions of dollars to sponsor a bike team. This is what we have.
And they can't make a profit.
Let me ask you about a bunch of things. I haven't talked to you in so long. I got a million questions for you. All right.
And we do have that great relationship.
Yeah.
And I did go to that wedding, and I have to say it's one of the few weddings that held.
I know.
I've gone to many weddings, and 90% of them it's gotten so.
I know. How's your marriage?
My marriage is doing great.
It's unbelievable that your marriage is doing great.
She's doing great. She's great. She understands.
Is she a good girl? I mean, is she doing what's right?
She's good. She's beautiful, like yours.
Is she doing the whole mother thing, or is she like...
loves being a mother.
And
above all else, loves being a mother. I mean, she's a great mother.
Does she allow any maids in the house around you? No.
Well, they're not tens, I can tell you that.
So look at you, all domesticated.
I've been very, very domesticated. I don't know. It's a sad event.
What are you upset about Beyonce and the lip syncing thing?
No, not at all. I'm not upset about that.
I'm upset.
I mean, there's a whole big thing. I'm not. Although I will say this. When other people have lip-synced in the past, and you can name 3 or 4, their careers were over.
Right.
Including, the guys, Willie Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli.
But also, if you remember, Jessica Simpson's sister lip-synced on Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
And that was a disaster.
I barely remember that, and it wasn't that big a deal, and she was destroyed. Her career was destroyed.
That's right. And the reason I just can't believe that everyone goes out there and pretends. I mean, she's there to sing a song.
Well, at the Super Bowl, and I like Jay-Z a lot. I really think he's a good guy.
I do too.
But I will tell you this. At the Super Bowl, when Beyonce was thrusting her hips forward in a very, very suggestive manner, if somebody else would have done that, it would have been a national scandal. I mean, I thought...
Was it too sexual?
I thought it was ridiculous. Okay?
I spoke to a friend of mine. His daughter's around 5 or 6 years old, and they turned the TV off because they felt it was too suggestive. But doesn't it remind you of the old days, the Ed Sullivan Show? Shirley MacLaine used to come on in a skimpy outfit and dance around. I mean, isn't that dancing?
No, but it was a different form of dancing, and I just thought it was not appropriate. And this is me. Can you believe me saying this?
Yeah, I can't believe it.
No, but I've seen things that for far less they make a big deal out of it. I've never even heard anybody mention it. I mean, I think I'm mentioning it now, maybe to you for the first time.
But since Michael Jackson, hasn't everybody started pulling and grabbing things and
but
thrusting?
I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying, you're moving your hips. I'm saying the way the so-and-so was thrust forward continuous. I said, give me a break, so.
Hey, Donald, let me
You know what? There was no mention of it, so obviously it couldn't have been so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she just gets a pass or something.
She gets a pass.
I was going to ask you, with all this politics and stuff now, you're sort of political.
Right.
Which, years ago you weren't that political. I mean, you had your opinions.
Yeah, but I've always been political. But yeah, I've gotten seriously political.
Now you're a power broker. People have to come meet you.
They do come to meet me.
You must love that.
Well, I don't love it. I see what's going on with the country.
But here's the thing.
In 2016, our country is going to be number 2 to China economically. It's hard to believe. That wouldn't have been possible. We just had a contraction, like a woman has a contraction. This country, we had a contraction where the country, we actually ceased to grow and we got smaller in the last report, which is shocking. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. And, we're just not doing well. We're not the same place. And we're putting in all sorts of taxes and regulations and problems.
But here's the thing that I got to ask you. And I know, they love you at the Tea Party and stuff. Are you really anti-abortion? You're not. I know you're not.
Well,
there's no way.
It's a whole thing, Howard. I mean, I feel certain ways about things, and is it a priority for me? Because my priority was always China and jobs.
Right.
That's what I really do.
I'm all about that.
Yeah, and I've never really been exposed to that, and that's always been my view. To be anti. But obviously with passes, rape and this.
But wait a second. I'm going to ask you something.
When I heard the one, senator guy who was running for the Senate say rape is, essentially a wonderful thing and an act. It
was crazy.
No, it was crazy. But
you're way too progressive.
I'll tell you what. It's actually split up. Howard. About 55% of this country feel that way.
But I know you. I know you. There is no way that you personally are against abortion. I mean, there's too many motherfuckers running around here out of their minds. They got people having babies, they can't take care of them. You got women.
Nobody else is taking care of them either.
I mean, who wants a baby on the planet that nobody's going to take care of? We got a ton of them as it is, and thank God there's abortion. I know you believe that.
Well, it's never been my big issue, Howard. And somebody asked me, and I say pro-life, but it's never been an issue that really has been discussed with me in great detail. To be honest with you.
But do you really think that the government should be regulating what a woman's personal decision is?
Of course not.
Well, a lot of people do, Robin, and
Well, where are you at?
That's right. We're talking to you.
I've been pro-life, Howard. I've been pro-life. So.
I don't believe it. I don't. But by the way, I believe
he can stand on that argument.
Hey, Donald, I also believe if I was alone in a room with you and you and I were just having a drink,
right?
I don't think you care about gay marriage. I think you're all for it. I know you. You're for people being happy. I know George Takei said he took you to lunch trying to convince you, but he's the wrong guy to convince you. I mean,
he's a nice guy.
He's a great guy.
He's a sweetheart.
God knows what he said to you.
He actually did leave that lunch and say, I really think Trump agrees with me. It's sort of an interesting feeling.
I think you're for...
By the way, he is a very nice guy and feels very strongly about a lot of things.
And don't you feel good
and he did really well on Apprentice.
But don't you feel good that he's in a relationship where he's happy?
He's happy. happy.
And he's not out like sliding around somewhere marrying a straight woman and lying to her?
I think, and he is happy, and he's totally in love, and he was explaining to me the whole situation of how he fell in love, what his partner looks like, and
he's gained weight. He's gained weight.
Yeah, he's so beautiful. And
Donald.
I thought it was nice.
You know what would have been great if you went to lunch and you changed his mind and he came out against gay marriage?
You know, I never tried to.
Yeah, why?
Tell you what, he was so out there, I wouldn't have given it a shot, right? But George is a nice guy.
So go on the record.
He did, by the way, he did great on the show.
I know, but Donald, go on the record. You're for gay marriage.
Well, I'm not, and I'm
really,
alive, yeah.
I'm shocked.
Well, what does gay marriage do to marriage, Donald?
Well, it's not an argument that, I want to really, because it's never been an argument that I've been, that's been discussed with me very much. People know it's not my thing one way or the other, but no, I haven't been. And also pro-life. And, if you look at, and now I will say the argument on gay marriage is changing a lot. People are changing a lot on that argument. And that was one, Robin, that was 80-20 a few years ago, and now it's at 50-50, and I think it's probably heading the other way. And I'm not saying I wouldn't change at all, but, I haven't been, and it hasn't been a subject that has been high on my list for a lot of reasons. People have actually, it's funny, with all of the politics and all of the everything, people talk to me about fuel and gasoline in China, and they talk to me about 100 different things. They never really talk to me about the gay marriage, and they never talk to me about pro-life, etc.
Yeah, only I bring up those issues.
But those things come up every election for some reason or other.
They do.
All right, let me ask you about a bunch of things because we haven't talked in so long. All right, here we go. You ready? All right. Let's talk about Lindsay Lohan.
Okay.
She's a mess, right?
What does Donald know about her?
Well, I know her. I mean,
he knows her. He probably had sex with her.
I couldn't know everybody.
Did you ever have sex with her?
No, I didn't. I think I know everybody. It's interesting. So many names are brought up, and it's like I know them all. They go to my clubs. They live in my buildings. I sort of know them all. A-Rod, I know. He lives in Trump buildings.
Yeah, I saw him over there.
Jeter, and I sort of gave Derek a hard time. I love Derek Jeter. He's great.
Is Paris Hilton over? Is it done for her? I mean, I know you know her.
Well,
it's over, right?
I can't say it's over. They don't write about her very much.
Right.
I wonder what Paris, because she sort of created the Kardashians. She was the one that Kardashians were hanging around with Paris, and all of a sudden, through the Kardashian mother, they built up a little empire.
Are you astonished?
And I just wonder whether or not Paris Hilton, when she sees that, they've done very well, whether they should have or not. They've been on The Apprentice. Kim Kardashian and her sister Khloe were on The Apprentice.
Don't you think, Donald, that Paris Hilton is seething with jealousy of the Kardashians?
It could be.
And not only the Kardashians, it's like everybody who was with Paris. Nicole Simpson or Nicole Richie is doing very well with a fashion line and all this stuff.
No, if you think about it, Paris, started a lot of these people. They don't talk. Lindsay Lohan was in that group. Now, Lindsay Lohan, I don't think is doing so well. I would say she's probably doing really badly. She wanted an apartment in one of my buildings, and then we said the rent, and she was like, "Excuse me," she didn't know what I was talking about.
Right. She's looking
for rent. So I don't know. I think she's doing very, very poorly, and I think she better get her act straightened out. But I would think that Paris is saying, "Look at all these people. They were hangers-on, and now they're doing phenomenally well.
Right.
And what do I get out of it?"
Hey, Donald, you think Sarah Palin's an idiot, don't you?
No.
I think you do.
No, I don't. I think she's tremendous. I think here's the story. Look,
I
know people. Wait a minute. I know Sarah Palin. I spoke to her yesterday.
Right.
I think she's a wonderful woman, and there is a group of people, a fairly large group of people, that absolutely adore Sarah Palin. I think she's been treated very harshly by the media.
Well, she doesn't come off well when she speaks. It's very, very simplistic.
I've seen her come off really well, and I've seen her. And Howard, she has a following that's an amazing following. She's got a great following. But no, I can't say that. I think she's, I often think of people by the way they treat me. She's been so nice to me. She said the greatest things about me publicly.
Right.
She said phenomenal things about me, like you can't get much better. And when people do that, I'll tell you who said it the other day, Snooki. Now, I don't know Snooki. I never met him.
Are you pro Snooki?
So listen to this.
He likes Snooki now.
You like Snooki?
Snooki said, it's too bad. Donald Trump should have been our president, and this country would have no problems. Okay?
So when Snooki says that, is that good or bad?
No, okay. Well, I mean, how nice can it be, right?
Right.
Donald loves it.
Should have been. I was surprised she knew I was running. I wasn't running. I decided not to. But she said, I hope Donald Trump runs. But she said that. And then she said, Donald Trump should have been our president. Then the country would have had no problems. Okay. Then somebody asked me, what do you think of Snooki? I said, she's fantastic.
Yeah, what are you going to say? Right.
What am I going to say? She's terrible? I got enough enemies. I don't need to create new ones. Snooki is fantastic. I actually said that to somebody. They said, they didn't know about the other thing. So what do you think of Snooki? I said, she's fantastic.
If you had run for president and won, who would have been at the inauguration? I mean, what would have been your dream?
Well, you would have been there.
Oh, of course. I never miss a part. Robin, of course.
Hey. One of the great weddings. Robin, how good was his wedding?
We had fun, didn't we?
That was a good wedding.
Really crazy weddings. I've gone to some of the world's most expensive weddings. Then I called the guy a month later. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? That son of a bitch, I'm leaving her. With Howard, it was nice. It was Syria. It was, we had a nice wedding.
Did you know that what? I didn't spend
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
What she has to put up with, Robin, can you believe?
Who, my wife?
I think she's a saint.
She's a saint.
You want to know
on
something?
The same page there, Donald.
We're all on the same page. I tell you, last night she left the bed early because I was snoring so heavily. And the fact that she stays with me with my, the way I make love is so horrible. And I'm still so fat. You know how many years I'm with this woman? And
Long time, Howard.
And I still come too fast.
Still. That's good. Well, that's good in many respects.
In a way, yes.
Then you have to go a second time because it'll take a little bit longer.
Second time? I'm 59 years old. Well, how's that going to happen?
There's no second
There's no second time. I'm not 18.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking. You go a second time?
Well, I don't want to say that.
Why? Why not?
Don't forget the world's most famous, the number one selling New York Post of all time had a very good comment about me that I fought. You remember the great...
What, you wanted to not have that?
Best sex I've ever had, yeah. So I heard that was going to be in, and I got my lawyers to try and stop it. And then one of my lawyers came to me, who's actually a very streetwise guy, said, Mr. Trump, could I ask you a question? I went, why do you want to stop this peddler?
Yeah, right. What's wrong with you?
I thought about it, and I said, all right, let's give up on it.
Yeah. What about, all right, tell me hot or overrated. You're always very honest. All right. Here we go. Halle Berry.
Well, okay. I love her upper body.
Go ahead.
I think her skin is beautiful.
Yes.
I've seen her, many times. What I hate about Halle Berry is there's always drama around her. It's always fighting, automobile accidents, fist fights, boyfriends fighting ex-husbands, fighting for the child. I don't know. It's just so you can't go crazy about that. And she's been around a long time, but she's fine. I mean,
Is Kim Kardashian really a beauty, or are we not being honest and saying her body isn't that great? That ass is way too fucking big. Go ahead.
I have problems with all these people because they're so nice to me. Like Kim was on The Apprentice. She came on The Apprentice.
Understood, but I'm talking as a physical beauty.
She was at her all-time peak, and she wanted to come on The Apprentice, and she came on, and she sold some of her perfume and stuff, and I don't know. But she was on, and she couldn't have been nicer. Now, okay, let's pretend it's not Kim. Did she have a good body? No.
Of course.
Did she have a fat ass? Absolutely.
Right. In other words...
And if it weren't Kim, they'd say, wow, I don't want to go out with her.
So what is the appeal?
What's the appeal? How did she become
Mr. Trump, what is the appeal then?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, it's not me. Now, there was obviously an appeal, but is it my appeal? No.
In other words, back in the day when you were single, and let's face it, you went through some beauties.
I went through beauties.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian would not be one that you would go to now.
Let's put it this way. If Melania said to me, darling, I love you very much, but I want a divorce, I'm out of here. My first call would not be to Kim.
Who would it be?
Who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who do you call? Who's your go-to?
I don't even think about it because that's so unlikely.
Right, but okay, let's
think about it.
Let's say, God forbid, your beautiful wife has a horrible illness. She goes rapidly. Within 2 weeks, she's gone. And that would be a terrible thing, and of course, it's not going to happen. But
you said, wait, Robin.
Yes.
Howard said one of the worst things, and she was listening. Right now, she's not listening, I hope, but she was listening. So Howard said one of the worst things. She said, if your wife had a massive accident.
That's right.
And she was horribly injured.
Right.
facially and every other way.
That's right.
Would you leave immediately, or would you wait?
Yeah, and what was your answer?
I said I'd never leave.
You said you never leave.
Oh, my goodness.
I said I would not. And I thought it was...
You would quietly have an affair on the side.
There's only one person that I know of in the world, and I know all these characters with the shows, right? But there's only one Howard. He's the only guy that could ask... I'll never forget the question, would you leave immediately, or would you wait a month or two? That was the exact...
Yeah, there was no question you were leaving.
But your answer was
never leave.
That's right. You were right.
Your answer was diplomatic, but the truth is, you would be, with her, but on the side, you would have women. I know that.
No, never. Not even a chance.
All right.
Not even a chance. Would you say maybe...
Who is the girl?
1%.
You're avoiding the question.
No,
who do you pick up the phone and call right now?
I have a problem. Here's the problem.
Go ahead.
I own the Miss Universe contest, right?
Right.
And I've made that a hot thing. You saw the ratings were fantastic.
Fantastic. Because you did the right thing. You got the girls in skimpy outfits.
Well, no, I got also the most beautiful women in the world. So when I bought that 13 years ago, it was a sick puppy.
Right.
And I bought it from a group of people from Paramount and Madison Square Garden Corporation. They owned it, where the guy that ran it was not gay, and his wife would not allow him to go to the contest.
Right.
This is not a good formula for success.
Right.
So I went to it in Las Vegas, like 13. I said, this thing is phenomenal, but it's so poorly run. And I said, who's running it? Well, he's not here tonight because his wife is jealous. And he will, okay, so, by the way, you can only, if you're going to run the Miss Universe, meaning run it like as a manager, you can only be a woman or gay. There's no other person that can run. Okay, so I own it. And I see, like a month ago, there was a girl that I put on, Diana. Diana Mendoza, that I had on the Celebrity Apprentice last season.
Right.
Who's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And by the way, when I fired her, I got I have this huge Twitter thing going.
Right.
At Real Donald Trump. Would you tell your listeners, because it is supposed to be. They're all saying it's the best, so it's at Real, so I'll promote myself.
Are you the best tweeter? Are you literally?
They say I'm the best tweeter.
Because why? You're honest?
Because I'm controversial.
Right,
and
okay.
I'm honest.
Right.
I don't even think I'm controversial. I'm very honest.
And you write these tweets yourself?
And I'm hard. I do them myself. Usually I'll dictate them out to somebody who's sitting, just say, put this in, because it doesn't take me any time that way.
And you trust this person because they have your password?
They do. I have 4 people that have my pass, so I have a person in every sector that has my pass. And sometimes I'll do it myself.
Does anyone ever write your tweets for you, or you?
No, sometimes they make a mistake though, and it really drives. I go crazy. I fired somebody over it. But
you did? You fired a guy?
Let me give you an example. Before the playoffs. So Bill Belichick is a friend of mine, and Tom Brady's a very good friend of mine, and Bob Kraft, that whole group, right? So I said to this secretary who didn't know anything about football, say hello to Bill Belichick. Wish Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Bob Kraft good luck on the game tonight, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So she said, okay, Mr. Trump. So she goes, good luck to Bob Belichick, Tom Brady, and Bob Kraft. So it's Bob Belichick.
Right.
The next day in Boston, it was like a scandal. It was front page. Trump doesn't even know the coach's name. I went nuts. Okay?
So did you fire that person?
Well, I called Bill Belichick. I said, hey, Bill, I got a problem here. I mean, I'm getting killed, but I don't care about that. I only care about you. Because he's really a great guy. He goes to Mar-a-Lago. He plays my courses. He's a member of my club. And I know him very well. I know him well. So it was really embarrassing, so I explained what happened. He fully understood it. But think of it. So that's the one problem, that when you don't do it yourself, things like that do happen. Or, you know what I hate? I hate misspelling. So I'll tell somebody, I have some people that are extremely professional, great, and I have a couple of guys that aren't as good.
What you're saying is it's very hard when you manage a big company. You can't possibly do everything by yourself, and so you delegate responsibilities. Correct. But if people don't do it right,
I go nuts.
You have to fire them. Well,
I don't fire them always, but sometimes I'll fire them. I didn't fire the person that said Bob Belichick. I mean, she came in crying. I went nuts. Right. She came in, in paper in Boston, they had a headline, a major headline. Trump doesn't know. Why should we listen to Trump? He doesn't even know the coach's name. He knows nothing about football, et cetera.
You know what I like about you? You know what I like about you?
Tell me.
You're not embarrassed by your wealth, in the sense that you'll name drop. I know this one. I know Bob Kraft, and he plays at my courses, and he does this and that. Well, some people would be sort of ashamed of that. Like, not ashamed, but like afraid to brag.
Like Romney. Now, I have to tell you, I like Romney very much.
Right.
I was so disappointed in him. I'm not angry at Obama. I give Obama a lot of credit. He played the rich guy, poor guy thing, which is always a very nice thing to do in politics and fun.
Right.
And I'm not upset. But the problem with Romney is he didn't talk about his success.
You're right.
How successful is he? He's worth a couple of $100 million, which by your standards and by my standards, I mean,
it's not much, right?
That's a lot by my standards.
It's like the cost of a yacht.
Yeah.
Okay.
But wait a second. Maybe it's because of the way he made his money. You think about Romney.
No, but he could have gone out there and talked about Staples, and he could have gone out.
That's true.
He was almost ashamed of it, and
right.
I didn't understand it. And you know what I hated, Howard? I saw the last couple of weeks of the campaign. First of all, that last debate was a disaster. Somebody said you should be nice instead of being tough, and it was a disaster. That debate, I called people. I said, "What's going on here? Is there something wrong?" But you know what I hated? He listens to these political consultants, and in the last week of the campaign, he was leaving a grocery store with a cart. And it was filled up with garbage, stuff, food stuff, toilet paper, right? We don't want to see toilet paper.
Right.
So it's filled up with stuff, and he's and he's in jeans. I used to hate when I used to, because I don't want to see the guy in jeans. Right. So he'd be in jeans and like a shirt, like he's a
regular guy. Right.
And he's pushing the cart, and he can't get the cart out the door. So he's opening doors where they open in, and he can't get the cart out the door because he's never done it before.
Right. He doesn't even know how to navigate
He's never done it before, Robin.
I never considered that.
They made him look, they wanted to make him look like a man of the people. And you know what? The people don't care. They want somebody that's going to be just tough as shit. It was like Jimmy Carter used to walk off the airplane carrying his own luggage. Remember that?
Yeah. You're so right.
I don't want my president carrying. I want the frickin' Marines to carry his luggage, and they want to carry his luggage. They want it. They want to carry. But Jimmy Carter used to walk off carrying, remember, a briefcase and his suit over his shoulder.
Right.
He'd get off this $250 million airplane, Air Force One.
Right, private jet.
And I'd say, wait a minute, this is my president carrying his suit. I don't want that.
You make a good point. I never considered that before. It's true.
I make a lot of good points.
Well, Romney maybe should have just said, you know what, motherfuckers, I've made it in this world, and maybe you don't agree with me, but I'm a goddamn good manager, and I know what the hell I'm doing, and I embrace all of this because this is what America's about, taking an opportunity.
So you know what I did? I filed my statement when I was running, and I filed a financial statement when I was thinking about running, and I wrote a book. And the book did really well, and Time to Get Tough. And I put my financials in. You know why? Because I was seriously thinking about running, and you have to file a form.
Right.
And I put it in there, and it said I was worth over $7 or $8 billion, right?
Right.
And it was a lot of cash, very little debt. I did really good, Howard,
Right.
And I was going to make that a big part of what I was doing, because I've done well.
Right. You're going to say, hey, don't you want a guy who's made $7 or $8 billion?
And in fact, when I was thinking about running, and I was therefore running against Romney, who I actually liked, but I said, no, Romney's a small-time businessman. He's only worth $200 million. I have much more cash than that.
Well, you're right. In other words, you don't get embarrassed by that.
I said, we need somebody that knows how to make deals for this country, because China's ripping us off. The OPEC nations are ripping us off. They are laughing at us out. They're all friends of mine. I have a lot of these guys living in buildings of mine. I have the largest bank in the world in China as a tenant of mine in Trump Tower.
And you're saying they laugh at us?
Literally. They think we're the dumbest people on earth. And it's hard to make deals sometimes because they assume you're stupid like your leaders. In other words, we're so stupid at the top.
Can't that work
then
for
when you go to China to make a deal, they think we're all stupid, you see. So it's a little bit difficult. But, after about 10 minutes, they learn. They did something. It was interesting. In Business Week, they did a story. Now, nobody hits China harder than Trump. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I've seen you everywhere doing that.
Talk about pro-life and everything. I said, Howard, my real thing is China, OPEC. Nobody hits China harder than Trump. So they do an article on business. What do the Chinese want most? The 10 things. Guess what? One of the 10 things, one of the top 10 things, says anything Trump. Do you believe it?
Wow.
So I hit him hard. Nobody hits him harder. And they love me.
And they love you for it because you're tough.
No, because they respect you. They don't respect us. They don't respect Obama. He's so soft on him. I mean, the way...
Can they even say the word Trump, or do they say twump?
They manipulate their currency.
Yeah.
So it's impossible for our businesses to compete with their business, and we do nothing about it.
All right, never mind that. Is Mila Kunis hot?
No, not to me.
Not at all. She's
not. She's an attractive person. But when you look at Diana Mendoza, when you look at the Miss Universe people, that's why I'm so
jaded. I see these girls come in from Brazil, from Venezuela.
They're way hotter than our Hollywood girls.
Oh, forget it. If you you take your best-looking actress in Hollywood, right?
Right.
And I'll take, like, Miss Brazil.
Over her.
And, no, you put them next to each other, nobody would even know who the other girls in the room.
And isn't it true Miss Brazil would be 10 times better in bed, too?
That I can't tell you. That I can't tell you.
Jessica Chastain, do we think she's hot?
No, she's a nice actress, I guess, but no, she's certainly not.
She's not hot?
No. I'm just jaded, Howard. I just got back from the big thing, and I've never seen anything like it.
Besides Apprentice, what are you watching on television?
Well, I watch the news all the time.
Right.
I watch, the business shows all the time.
Do you only watch Fox
political
News?
Commentary. I do love Fox News, and by the way, they do love me.
They certainly do.
I
call it the Trump Network.
Hey, Robin, do they love Trump?
Oh, my
They do,
goodness.
but will you watch MSNBC, which is Diamond?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I watch MSNBC, too. It's a different
Are there no shows that you like to watch that are just fun?
Just drama, just to chill out.
Well, I don't have time. Yes, the answer is yes. You know what I love? I love the old movies. Sometimes I go to those, but, it usually lasts for about 10 minutes. I'm loving it. Days of Wine and Roses, okay? Breakfast at Tiffany's and stuff. I love that stuff.
Are you watching any porn?
I've never been totally into it.
Do you ever go on YouPorn?
I've never been into it. I've never been into porn.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think you'd check it out a little.
Well, I've never, I've always been embarrassed a little bit by it. I've never been into it. I've never needed it. It's never been something I've needed. I have friends that...
So when you masturbate, what do you do?
I have friends who need it because they get nothing. They have nothing going.
Let me try it like this. When I masturbate, I use YouPorn.
Yeah.
I do.
I've never been into the porn thing. I get the porn stuff, but I've never been... it's never been...
Are you kidding? I'm watching a tape the other night. You ready to hear this? A woman is teaching another girl how to play the piano. The girl playing the piano is naked, and this one is whipping her. You had to see this thing.
Funny.
And I was turned on.
Well, I'm sure he's going to send it to me, but
I'm going to send it to you.
It's never been my thing, Howard. Fortunately for me. So I love the news programs. I love the political programs.
Right.
I'm a very political person. But you've known me for a long time. I've always been a very political person.
Oh, you've always commented, but I like now the guys who are planning to run have to meet with you. You're like the kingmaker.
They do have to meet with me.
Hey, by the way,
and I think I give them good advice, and I have a great popularity, and I have some people that dislike me extremely much. I listened to Howard once and a while ago, and he said, "Why is Trump doing this?" And it was interesting, and I understood exactly what you were saying because I get it. But
well, there was a lot of the birther stuff.
Well, but hey, look, I offered $5 million to a guy just to show me a record.
Yeah, but wait,
Howard, I increased it to $50 million. Just before the time limit, I said I'll substantially increase it, and I would have increased it to $50 million and nothing. And all they did was say, "Oh, what a terrible."
No, you're missing my point. My point on you is this: you were at the point where you were really becoming beloved. Like Oprah even had you on with the family.
I was on her last week.
Yeah, you came off great. The kids
but
came off great.
I was running when I did that.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden...
running. I was thinking about it.
Right.
I never ran, but I do think about it.
But with some of this political fringe stuff, you don't need that. First of all, you're selling the Trump brand. You need to bring a lot of people into the tent.
Yeah, but I don't care, Howard. You know,
don't?
I bought Doral Country Club. It's one of the great purchases ever. Doral, 800 acres in the middle of Miami. I bought that a year and a half ago. Miami is exploding.
Why are you in New York even? Like, why don't you hang out in Florida for the...
Florida a lot, actually.
Do?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Florida.
Where do you live in Florida?
At Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, is that where you stay?
Yeah, Palm Beach.
Palm Beach, you love that.
Right, and a lot. Whoops, somebody ringing, but don't worry about it.
Who is that annoying?
Probably Ivanka.
Oh, she doesn't leave
My
you
daughter
alone.
is fantastic.
Those
she
kids.
calls me every morning, like
is that right?
Around 7, because she calls me like clockwork every morning at 7. Hello, Daddy. How are you? She's fantastic.
What do you think of that guy she married? I don't know.
Think he's great.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he's great. He's a great guy. He's a smart guy, Harvard graduate, good looking.
Hey, by the way, I see you going ahead with this lawsuit against me.
Oh, well, let me explain.
No.
That's another one. This guy gets on, and I don't know what it is. He
he spoke so horribly. You know, I had a father who actually was a very handsome, dashing guy.
I remember your dad.
Oh, yeah, he was the best-looking guy. And he was a builder in Brooklyn.
Right.
And he was a good guy, you know, a smart guy and a good guy. And I learned a lot from my father. And believe me, he was so proud and all that stuff, you know, because he never wanted to come into Manhattan because he said, oh, that's not my territory. But he was just a good professional and a great guy and a handsome guy and a beautiful mother. But my mother was 5'11", and Robin, that was a long time ago. You didn't have people 5'11".
Right.
You know, my mother was a beauty. So anyway, I don't know how I turned out, but, you know, I'm not so bad. Some people would say, not bad. Anyway, the ones that liked me. So this guy comes out, and he went viciously, out of nowhere. Jay Leno says, what about Trump? I said, what's he asking about me for? What do I have to do with this guy? I know nothing about him, Bill Maher. Except that he has asked me to be on his show for 2 years.
Right.
Please go on my show, or however long. Please go on my show. And by the way, I would have done it. I have nothing against him or his show or anything else. I mean, I don't agree with his point of view, but I would have done. But it's hard in terms of doing it, Howard. You know, finding the time and everything else. And I've been with you a long time. If you and I have been friends a long time. If you would have asked me to go to your studio and all, I would have done that too. Okay. So what happened? It's just too tough. So I didn't do a show. So all of a sudden he gets upset that I won't do a show.
Right.
And he starts hitting me with stuff, and I didn't care. But then he's on Jay Leno, and he made this offer, a stupid offer about, you know, this and that. And he said, I will give Donald Trump $5 million if he can prove this and that. So I said, wow. And he didn't say, I'm joking, I'm this, I'm that.
Right.
He said, and the money can go to charity. So I'll give him $5 million, and the money will go to charity. He didn't say, I'm only kidding, Jay.
Right. He said that your parents were part orangutan or something.
They're orangutan, and you know, this and that, okay? And he said, I will give him 5. So I immediately, the following day, unlike Obama, by the way, you know, I had my birth certificate right at hand. I was able to get it within 9.2 seconds.
Right.
So I sent him the birth certificate or whatever, documentation. And we said, as per your offer, we hereby accept, and here's the documentation, and please send my charities. I listed 5 charities, good ones, Federation of Jewish Philanthropies, and different ones, okay, Dana-Farber Cancer, you know, et cetera, right, Sandy victims. So I said, please send the check, and I will send them out distributed to. And he didn't answer.
So you're suing him.
And press asks him about it, didn't answer. So I felt I had an obligation. I don't know if I'm going to win or lose it. You know, I mean, you know, strange thing.
I don't know either. I mean, in a way, I mean, technically, he did say if you would.
It was unconditional. He didn't say, like, hey, I was only. Even after the case, like after he said it, he didn't say, Jay, I was only joking when I just said that. He said, I will give Donald Trump $5 million to his charity, a charity of his choice.
You might win.
Well, I think so. And then, okay, so here's what happens. You know the Cooley Law Firm. That's one of the biggest firms in California. It's a very highly respected. So I went to one of the guys there. I said, what do you guys think of this case? They said, I think you have a good case. By the way, you know, a lot of these firms, they can't take a case unless they, you know, they're not going to file a case where they're going to have problems, all right?
Right.
So I said, what do you think? And they don't need the $2 that it's going to cost because it's a simple case. It's not like, you know, we're sending rockets to the moon, right?
But in a way, I mean, your point is, hey, Bill Maher embarrassed you on TV, and so you're going to teach him a lesson.
It was worse than that. He talked badly about my father and my mother.
Right. He hurt you.
Well, and he talked badly about my mother and my father.
Right.
And they were amazing people. You know, they were, hey, Howard.
I understand.
Like you and I, they were married 63 years.
Right.
They had an amazing love affair. You know, we don't see.
In other words, when a guy screws around about you, okay, maybe I'll be a good sport. But when he screws around about your parents and calls them orangutans, you're going to go on the warpath.
So terrible, and the venom with which he said it. Somebody said comedy. I said that wasn't comedy because maybe you didn't see it. I was actually watching, and I said, "Wow, that's venom."
If Bill Maher, listen,
he was so nervous when he was saying it.
Right.
It was almost like it was rehearsed because he was so nervous when he was saying it, and there was such hatred. And I said, "Why would he hate me that much?" And you know, obviously the hatred is of me because he didn't know my parents. And you know, my father would have blown him away. My father would have looked at him, blown away. You know, the best guy, by the way, tough as hell, but really handsome.
But if Bill Maher called you today, I'm giving you a theoretical.
Right.
And he realizes, maybe Trump's got a case. And he called you up and he said, Mr. Trump, look, I'm a comedian. I'm trying to be funny. I obviously don't think that about your parents. I apologize to you. And please don't sue me because who knows? I mean, I probably should have just said it's a joke.
I don't have the $5 million.
And $5 million is a lot of money.
Would you think he has $5 million?
I don't know what he.
I don't know. I know HBO is infamously cheap. They do not pay a lot of money, but he does stand up and does a lot of corporate gigs. So
I met him 2 years ago when I was in Los Angeles. I met him at I was having dinner, and he came over and said hello. He was such a nice guy. He was really nice. He was with a young girl, and
black girl.
No, actually no. But he was with a young girl, pretty girl, and I said, great. And he came over. He couldn't have been nicer, and that was it. We just had a quick conversation. He said, "Come on my show." I said, "I will do that." Now I did say I will, and I would have done it eventually anyway. I have no, even though he is from the other side of the planet, from politically speaking. That's okay. I don't care about that. I would have done a show, but then he started hitting me a while ago on his show. Just telling little stuff, and eventually
it got to you.
No, it didn't get to me at all when he did the Jay Leno and he started bringing my parents. But Howard, he made an unconditional offer. It's interesting. Harvey Levin of TMZ called me yesterday. I like Harvey Levin. Okay? Right. And he's a lawyer. And he goes, "I got to tell you, I think you have a case. Because when you watch it," he said, "I will give you $5 million your favorite." Now, I tell you what, if you take the word charity out, I don't know, maybe it doesn't play as well. If it's $5 million coming to Donald Trump. But if it's $5 million going to Sandy victims and to cancer and
why not?
Why not? Well,
a big difference.
So answer the question. If he called you today and said, "Look, I think you do have a case because I didn't make it clear that I was doing parody or joke," would you let me off the hook on this? Would you let him off the hook?
Howard, let me just say this. He may feel that because actually he has no comment whatsoever. I mean, since he did that show, he has had absolutely no comment.
He's never repeated it?
No, except for, "Oh, what?" Somebody asked him somebody told him he got sued. He goes, "Oh, what?" That was the only comment. He hasn't said anything. He didn't say anything. He has no comment. So what happened is he went to see a lawyer.
Right.
And his lawyer said, "You got a problem."
Right. If he called you today and said, "I've got a problem, Mr. Trump. I have to apologize to you. I did not make that clear." And maybe you could even say to him, "Okay, on the condition you go back on the Tonight Show and apologize to me."
I would certainly have a discussion with him, Howard. I mean, look, I'm not looking to go crazy. I would like to win the money for the charities.
Right.
And honestly, if it weren't the charities, I wouldn't have brought the suit because I feel I have an obligation to the charities to bring the suit. They're great charities.
Sure.
Police Athletic League in New York is another one.
Right.
And I feel I have an obligation to bring the suit. And lawyers have told me. I had 4 or 5 calls from lawyers that I know. I know I'm probably the king of lawyers, unfortunately.
All right, here it is. Here's the final question, because I don't want to keep you here all day. I know you're busy.
Do you do interviews this long with everybody?
No, just you. You're good.
I'm the most interested.
All right, here it is. You know the game F, Marry, Kill. This is where you have to have sex with one person, you have to marry the other person, but you're gay in this case.
You're gay?
Yes. Bill Maher, Barack Obama, and Seth Meyers. You have to kill one, you have to marry one, and you have to have sex with one. Where do you go?
Okay, all right. And I'll preface it, unlike Bill Maher, I'll preface it by saying this is a joke.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, Seth Meyers is highly overrated as a comedian. I think we'll lose him.
So you're going to kill him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think probably... of the other two, I think I'd marry Obama.
Why?
Because I think he's probably...
He's in best shape, I guess, physically.
No, I think he's also, a lot smarter than Bill Maher.
Okay.
And I do like intelligence.
And he's faithful.
And he's faithful.
Right.
I don't know. If you tell me, is he faithful?
It seems...
Who knows? Who's watching?
Robin, who knows? Right?
Yeah. Who knows, right?
That would be a story, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And you would fuck Bill Maher.
Oh, geez, I don't know.
I don't know. What do you think? Well, here's the most important question, and I haven't heard you speak out on this. What do you think of Michelle Obama's bangs?
I think she's nice. Look, I think she's a good woman. I think she's really in there pitching.
I do, too.
I think she's with him. It doesn't matter, her bangs. I think her bangs are nice. But I think she's a woman that's really in there pitching for her husband, and I like that because I see a lot of people, husbands, male and female, that don't pitch for each other. She's in there pitching for her husband. She's working hard. I see her on the shows. Romney should have been out there like Obama was out there. And by the way, I thought Ann Romney actually did a very good job
job.
She was doing better than Romney.
Should she do?
No, I thought Ann Romney did a good job.
Yeah.
No, actually better. I think she's an amazing woman.
Isn't it ridiculous when they go
tremendously sick, and to go through what she went through is, I think, an amazing thing. I think Michelle Obama did a fantastic job for her husband.
She did.
And I think she represents a tremendous group of people that really like her. She's popular. And I'm all for her. I mean, there was a terrible article today in the Washington Post about her, and I think it was disgraceful that they were able to.
What was the rap against her?
They talked about her looks.
Really?
In a very unflattering way, and I thought it was disgusting. And
give her a rating.
It's actually become, I mean, you're hearing it from me first, but it's actually become a big story, the fact that they did it. I think that what they said was disgusting, and I think they shouldn't have been, they shouldn't have said it.
Is she a 5? Is she a 6? Is she a 10?
I don't want to do that. I have too much
Good for you.
respect. I have too much respect.
That's too bad. That would have been interesting.
I know it would have been.
I know. You'll tell me privately.
Privately, I'll tell you.
Apparently, the Washington Post has already done it.
Yeah, right. But what did they say? She was a 6? I mean, listen, she is a wonderful woman. She really is. And she is someone to be respected and proud of, that she is the First Lady.
She's a smart woman.
I agree with you.
I have to, look, I don't have to agree with everybody. I think that she really has done a fantastic job as First Lady, and she's in there kicking.
Right.
She's in there doing things, unlike some people. They sit on their ass, they do nothing, right?
Listen, I have a whole staff of...
we have many. I have many people, thousands of them like that, too.
All right. Listen,
we love you.
We could talk all day.
Donald
Trump...
all day. Anytime you want. I just heard you were sort of complaining. That
You've been saying it for a while. What happened with us and Donald?
I was inundated with my friends, because I do listen all the time, and my friends were calling me saying, Howard's complaining. You don't call him anymore. I said, wait a minute. Why don't they just call me and I'll go on?
You're absolutely right. It is our fault.
I feel stupid calling you. Oh, Howard, it's Donald. I want to go on. It's not my thing. I always like to play a little bit hard to get, right?
You're very right. I said to Gary the other day, I said, it is incumbent upon us to call Donald Trump if we want him on. And we don't
happen.
Anytime you want. But,
all right. Thank you.
Did we talk about gun control? Where is he on that?
Well, I think this. I mean, to me, it's if you notice, the Democrats are really folding on that issue, because you'll have women saying, well, what happens if a man comes in with a gun and I don't have a gun? I mean, if the bad guys don't have guns, that's one thing, but one thing for sure, the bad guys are going to have the guns.
Right.
And you need a gun on the other side of the table. If somebody's pointing a gun at you, at least you have a chance. So I think guns are it's a very, very difficult subject, but you need guns for protection.
No regulations whatsoever?
I am a Second Amendment maven, and frankly, you have medical problems. We have to focus on that. I think focusing on past records and all is very appropriate, but I'm a Second Amendment maven.
Hey, do you think we should blow up North Korea?
Or the moon.
Actually, that little piece they did was a very threatening piece.
Yeah, why don't we blow them up?
I'll tell you what, if I were in office, I saw that piece. The piece came out where they're playing a song, and then they showed New York City blowing up and have a missile.
That's right.
They showed New York City blowing up.
They played We Are the World.
Hey, Robin, I don't want to lose Howard to nuclear weapons.
No, none of us do.
The single biggest problem in the world today is nuclear weapons, and nobody talks about it. It's not gun control. It's not this. The biggest problem we have is the nukes, because I had an Uncle John Trump, my father's brother. He was a professor at MIT. He was a genius. He went to MIT, which is as good as it gets. His IQ was like ridiculous. He was a total genius, and he told me years ago, 35 years ago, that Donald, someday somebody in a little suitcase, like a little briefcase, could put it in the middle of Manhattan and blow up.
So what do we do, though? How do we get rid of the nukes with these guys?
You're going to have to do something, because, when you see a whack job, like, I assume the son is at least partially wacky like the father.
Oh, he's got to be totally
they got to all be crazy.
When you see a whack job like that, who really don't care for life, that's the problem with the enemy. We used to fight an enemy that had a uniform. We knew who we would fight.
Right.
Today we fight people, they come out of nowhere. They don't wear uniforms. When you go to Afghanistan and the people that we're training are shooting our soldiers, it's time. I'd like to see this country rebuilt. We ought to rebuild our own country.
Right.
But
are you an isolationist?
But by the way, the nuclear problem is the single biggest problem we have.
So let's blow up North Korea and Iran, too.
Well, the commercial they made, I don't know if it was a commercial, but basically they were showing missiles going up and New York City being destroyed.
Right.
and nobody even mentions it. You know,
no, it's like, okay.
I'll tell you what, that's almost an act of war. That was made by the government.
Don't you think, though, this kid who just took over trying to show that he's got balls and he can stand up to America, but who knows? Maybe he's for real. Maybe he wants
it might not only be the kid. I mean, they got some wackos right behind him, you know, that you look at those guys. I mean, you look at the riots they have. Did you ever see, even in South Korea, and I do business with South Korea, I think it's a very tenuous place, to be honest with you. How would you like to live right next to North Korea? Right?
I mean, it's
you ever see the riots? Everything's perfect. The people go quickly. Beam. The riot police dress perfectly. They have perfect little trucks. They have the water, you know, coming pouring out. They whip the hell. The people, you know, everything is like perfect. They're all in their perfect little uniforms. Everything. Well, North Korea is sort of the same thing and even worse. You talk about a militaristic state, but when they make a video like that, Howard, it's like it's almost like that was put out by the government.
And here's the tragedy. The people are starving over there. All they got is these dopey videos. They put them out. They hope that we'll come to the bargaining table and maybe give them something.
Well,
that's what it's about.
The tragedy is different. To me, the tragedy, I don't worry about that. To me, the tragedy is different. We are no longer the same country. We've spent $1.5 trillion in Iraq, for which we've gotten nothing. By the way, Iraq is blowing up all over the place, you know, now that we're out. It's as I always said it would.
Right.
I used to say, we're in Iraq. Obviously, we're going to take the oil. You know, the second largest oil reserves in the world are in Iraq, right?
And we didn't do anything.
Not only did we not get any of the oil, they didn't pay for any of the war.
We got nothing.
Right.
Oh, no, but there's a better one, Robin. Now one of their little local senators got up and said, we want the United States to pay us $2 trillion for the damage they've done.
Oh, great.
Our stupid people, our stupid politicians will end up someday paying. Like we gave them the Panama Canal. You know, I have a building in Panama, so we gave them the Panama Canal.
All right, listen.
$1.
Listen.
One of the great deals ever made.
We could go on all morning. We've talked for an hour.
It's very amazing.
I didn't even take a commercial break.
I could talk to you for 10 hours, and we would have the highest ratings ever. Howard.
You're a top yenta. You know that?
Well, the next time you call me, anytime you want, I'll be on your show.
All right, because
don't ever blame me for not being.
I blame myself. I blame myself, and we will call you and see Donald Trump on All-Star Celebrity Apprentice, premiering March 3rd at 9 p.m. on NBC. He's giving another shot to Dennis Rodman.
We are.
Even though you fired him.
He's a sick individual, but that's good.
You like that? It's good for ratings. All right, listen. I'm glad we got to touch base.
It was great. I'll talk to you.
Great
soon.
speaking with you. There he is,
Robin.
Great guy, Donald Trump. You gotta love that.
He will take any question.
Anything. I just found out that chick in that war movie is not hot. Chastain.
You thought she was hot.
I did. I didn't know until I spoke to him that she's not hot. And that Mila Kunis is ordinary.
Wow.
You know, he's right about Mitt Romney. He should have gone the opposite way and said, hey, fuck you. I'm more successful than anybody.
But he kept hiding the tax returns. He ran away from his own wealth. He was right.
I got to take a break.
Who this? Alec, it's your favorite president. Look, Alec, I will offer you a total pardon, because I want to be friends, right? I want to be friends. I will give you a total pardon for murdering that woman if you kiss the ring. Kiss the ring, Alec. Kiss the big, beautiful ring. Come on, Alec. Come on, look at Alec Baldwin, right? He did that impersonation of me. It was not too hot, not too good. But look, we're back in office. You lost. Kamala lost. She's somewhere getting intoxicated. Look at that suitcase. Unbelievable. Well, Alec, if you don't want that pardon for murdering that woman in cold blood, you can call it first degree. You can call it whatever you want, but it was not good. She's looking down on me right now, smiling, happy. Thank you for confronting the man who took me out, who killed me, and that's okay.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You realize, by the
Whoa.
way, no, look at me. I want you to look at me.
Sure.
You know, you got a camera on me here?
The ring? No, it's the ring.
But you realize my kids live in this building, right? But I want you to know something.
We love the children. We're doing great deals for the children.
Listen to me real careful.
Okay.
If this camera was here, I'd snap your fucking neck in half and break your fucking neck right there. So you know that, don't you?
Okay. All right, Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, ladies and gentlemen, class act. Believe me. Believe me. Okay. Oh, he's yelling at me. I'm a citizen of this. I was born and raised in New York City. I love you, Alec. Alec, look, Alec, you don't want to attack your favorite president, Alec. Look, I love you. I love you, Alec. He's got more balls than De Niro, that I can tell you. De Niro ran away. Alec confronted. That's good. He's strong. But also he's weak because he murdered a woman, so that's okay, right? Look at this guy.
I read a dirty cocksucker. You mutt-sucking sons of a bitch. You see what I mean.
A lot of people liked Alex Jones on the show yesterday. We got a lot of email. Lots of email. Some people didn't like him, but most people really enjoyed listening to Alex. So we thank him for calling in. We pointed out, too, that Alex at one point in 2011, he cried on air. Cried on air. I have a sample of that.
It's interesting because he said that was after a vision.
Yeah, we never got to the bottom of that. he hit so many topics we couldn't get to the bottom of a lot.
He's got a lot going on.
He was on for an hour and a half, and yet I don't think we ever finished anything. Anyway, so here's Alex crying just to give you a reminder from yesterday.
And then last night, God just showed me so much, and I couldn't even talk. And I do not even feel worthy to be here bringing you this.
It's weird how God is showing the terrorists one thing, and then he's showing our people another thing, and it's a
Will he get on the same page with everyone? I'm sick of it.
I think God is a delusion sometimes, and then people aren't actually talking to him.
Information, and it just absolutely brought me to a place I've never been. Where God just really says, you want to see the evil? Here it is. Feel it. And to feel what the children are feeling, God Almighty.
Character.
Folks, we gotta get good people to stand up against these people.
I love that part.
Isn't that like that Simpsons guy? You gotta love Alex.
I probably shouldn't even have done this radio.
Oh my goodness. Almost couldn't get to the radio show. Anyway, of course, there's Alex crying. Crying. And crying.
Crying. God Almighty.
Crying.
So the guys got together, and of course, right away we get on the phone to Tradio for the big Alex Jones crying call.
Good morning, John Swap Shop.
Yeah, listen, a little bit of a problem here. My father, we lost our family dog, and his name is Blumpkin. It would really help if people can look out for him.
All right, now
Salt and pepper colored.
Okay.
And can I, my father, tell you the description, please?
He can. And what street are you on, or where are you located?
He'll tell you that. Hold on one
Okay.
second. Yeah, he's just a little upset. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, here he is. Go ahead.
Okay.
God Almighty. Folks, we gotta get good people to stand up against these people.
All right, now what community do you live in? What street are you on? You might want to put your son back on the phone here, so we just get the information.
Daddy?
We just need the information here if we can get this out, okay?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Why don't you just tell us what street you live on, sir?
The street, Daddy.
What street do you live on?
The street.
Can you just talk, sir? Can I talk to the son? Can I talk to the son, please?
Daddy, can you give him the street, please?
I'll tell you what, why don't y'all call back, okay? I've got another phone ringing here, and I don't aim to be irrational here, but I need some information, or we're going to have to move on and so you can call back. So that's why I try to be kind to people, and
it's time to get toned up and firmed up in time for summer. Get rid of that
commercial
today, and you'll be ready for summer.
I love those commercials. All their commercials have echo, but like way too much echo.
Right, and it's just him. I think they're trying to fake that they have other announcers.
Yeah, he's doing all his own commercials. That's awfully cold, though. The guy's crying. You hang up on him? That's not very Christian. Sorry. Now let's get to something really important. Donald Trump is on the phone.
Donald Trump is on the phone again?
That's right. And
we haven't talked to him in years, and now it's once a week.
Mr. Trump fights back too, you know.
What's going on?
Donald.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very unimportant, actually, but...
Very important in your world.
You have such an audience, Howard, and everybody told me that Mark Cuban was on, and he said wonderful things about my family and
he did.
Myself, and it was all nice. But he did say one thing that we should at least correct the record. Right?
Okay.
He said that his show, whatever the hell it's called...
Shark Tank.
Really not his show. He's one of 4 or 5 people on the show. You know the difference, right?
Right.
As opposed to the superstar that's known as Trump. Total superstar.
Well, you make a point
They actually called me the king of all media yesterday, and I said, no, I have... Somebody wrote an article that said I'm the king of all media, and I actually wanted a retraction. I said there's only one king of all media, right? But
no, but you make a point. Your show, The Apprentice. Well, let's back up. Mark Cuban was on the other day. He was talking. We were talking about years ago. He had a show that was very similar to The Apprentice,
called The Benefactor.
The Benefactor,
which was really a knockoff of The Apprentice.
And you got on the air.
There were 16 of them, by the way, so he shouldn't feel bad because we had 16 knockoffs. We had one the other day that died. It was called The Job. It was on CBS. And it died after two shows, and
which I know pleases you because
I love it.
Your show was the original one.
Right. I love it, Howard.
And you love when the original. So Mark Cuban was trying to be a show like yours, and you even said on the air to me, his show won't work. You know, and it sounded like sour grapes, blah blah blah. But meanwhile, you were right. The show went off.
Well,
the air.
Mark did something that was a little bit rough because he went out, and I've gotten along with Mark over the last year or so, but he went out with his show, The Benefactor, and he really went after me. Instead of saying, hey, and I spoke to him before the show went out, and he was totally nice. But some idiot told him to go and attack Trump, and this way you'll get publicity for The Benefactor. So he went after me. Naturally, of course, I go then after him.
What did he say at the time?
I don't know. My show's going to be better. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be this and that. In the meantime, I had like the #1 show on television.
And you felt like you had your back up against the wall, and you had to defend yourself.
I had to defend myself.
Right. So
I've watched you do that all your life. I've been watching you a long time.
Yes. And for years go by, Mark Cuban does get on Shark Tank. Shark Tank is, as you say, an ensemble cast. It is not his show.
Well, don't go so fast. So the Benefactor goes on, and it's a total bomb. And I wrote Mark a very nasty letter. It was really nasty, and it was terrible. And then I heard he has that letter framed. I mean, it was a terrible letter.
He says the letter is framed on his desk.
It was an all-time classic Trump letter.
What did you write? Do you recall?
I don't know. Just terrible.
What did you say?
Terrible. I can't imagine. I wouldn't have saved it. I would have tried to. I would have burned it.
You know why he saved it? I
know. It's a motivation. I think that's cool.
Yes, it's a motivator.
No, I think that's cool. I mean, I was surprised that he did it, but I heard about it. I thought it was very cool. Anyway, we've gotten along very well over the last year or so, and the Benefactor goes off, and then all of a sudden Shark Tank comes on. So Shark Tank goes on during the week, which is much more important than a Friday night, and it totally bombs. So they think they're going to terminate Shark Tank, and what they do is they put it on Friday night as a little bit of a filler. Friday night is called Death Valley.
I see.
Well, you know that. I mean, you have a show on Friday night. It's not a good thing.
Right.
And it did okay for Friday night. Actually did better on Friday night than it did during the week, because during the week it was a total bomb. They thought they were going to have to take it off. And what happens is it did okay, and that was it. So, and it's doing okay on Friday night. But Friday night's not a television night. So maybe they should move it back to a real night, see how it does. So Mark goes on your show, said nice things, but then he did make the statement that the show, Shark Tank, which again is a show of 4 or 5 people that go, do different things, that it did better in the ratings. And I said, whoa, what have we here?
Right.
I knew it didn't. I mean, I knew that. But so I called up the Nielsen people. I have people that do this, and they called up the Nielsen and the NBC Universal people. And I sent you a little copy of the Nielsen ratings where basically we kill them. Now, you're going to understand, not only kill them, but we're in the 13th season now. This isn't a brand new show.
Right.
After, you look at what happens with American Idol. In the first season, we were beating American Idol. And in the first season, we were, many evenings, the #1 show and on television. And that was a great honor and all that stuff. But we did very well. But this is the 13th season. And not only did we beat them, we're looking at last season because this is just going on Sunday night. I hope all your viewers and listeners are going to watch it. But what happened, not only did we beat it, but we had to go up against the Academy Awards last year. How would you like a show that goes up? They programmed it incorrectly.
That's
and it
unbelievable.
No. it's a show opened against the Academy Awards. I said, I don't mind competition, folks. I like, I'm sort of a competitive guy, but you don't open a show and have a show against the Academy Awards. So this year they waited. So as you know, the Academy Awards, which, gets 40, 50 million people, the Academy Awards now is over, and our show goes on Sunday night. But despite that, and we did fine. I mean, we did fine against the Academy Awards, believe it or not. But despite that, so I sent you the ratings, and basically it wins in all categories, and easily wins in all categories. And, you have the ratings, and you can read them if you want, but it's not a big thing. But they come right out of Nielsen.
So your point is that
I just like the truth.
You want the truth.
I'm an extremely truthful person.
Some people would say, why does this matter to you? But I think
everything matters to me.
Everything matters to you. Things get under your skin.
Not under my skin, no. You know what? If let's say let's say he did beat me in the ratings,
right? I
would say that I wouldn't be calling you,
right?
I'd call you, but I wouldn't be talking about that. I'd try to get off.
You try to keep it quiet.
No, I tried. I'd sort of. But when it's incorrect, and when Nielsen is the king in terms of this, whether we like him or don't like him, right?
Right.
And Nielsen has been very truthful over the years about The Apprentice, and The Apprentice is a monster. And that's why it's on in like 80.
So what do you want to say to Mark Cuban?
Nothing. I'll tell you what I want to say.
He just wanted to set the record
straight. He was so nice to my children and to me,
right?
And so respectful, and talking about how my children are amazing and all that stuff. So I don't want to say anything. I think I think it's fine. But
why don't you buy a basketball team and beat his basketball team?
Every one of my friends owns a basketball team. They're miserable.
They
don't sleep at night. Or sports teams. I mean, I see these guys. George Steinbrenner, as you remember, was one of my best friends.
Right.
You want to see a miserable evening, go to George to a baseball game, to a Yankee game. It was brutal. Yeah, he loved me.
Because it's work.
I used to say it was exhausting to sit with George at a game. If Derek Jeter didn't get a home run, he'd say, Donald, I'm telling you, he's no good. George was brutal. He was brutal.
You don't want to live your life like that.
The truth is, these guys live and die by victories. Most of them lose. Most of them don't do a very good job. And I see it. And they say, they're just really miserable. They live and die. And with all the teams, there's only one team that's going to win ultimately.
Right. I know. It's not good odds.
And they're very unhappy people. So
do you
Donald did try to get into the sports game at one point. Remember that league?
Don't forget, I bought a cheapo football. I figured I could get into the NFL room. So
right.
That was really one of those harassment deals where we can get into the NFL for no money.
Right. Well, you try and you see what happens.
And I've had more Mike Tyson fights than anybody else. I have a lot of fights, and I'm very much involved in sports in a lot of ways.
Do you own Miss Teen?
I own Miss Teen
USA,
and I own Miss USA and Miss Universe. I own the pageant.
So the big news this week was that Miss Teen Delaware was in a porno.
Yeah, and we had to tell her to get a letter of resignation very quickly. Yeah.
Why though? Why?
She was in a porn.
So what?
Question.
You think about it. Think about our country.
So what?
Kim Kardashian's a big star because she was in a tape. Paris Hilton was in a tape.
Do you think Kim Kardashian's beautiful?
No. I mean,
Do you think she's good looking?
I think she's a beautiful face.
You do think so? Okay.
I don't like that big trunk.
Well, she's got a huge trunk.
Yeah. What do you make of that?
Well, it's seriously big.
Yeah. So what do you think of her?
I think she's a very nice person. She was on The Apprentice, so I think she's a very nice person.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm saying...
No, I think she's a very nice person. Howard, looks don't. I'm not that kind of a person. Looks don't matter to me.
Right.
The looks of a woman
they don't
do not matter. Okay?
No.
Now that he's married.
No, they don't marry. I don't look at women for their beauty. I look at women for what's inside. Okay,
what kind of porno was she in, though, by the way? Did you see the porno?
I didn't see it. No, what happened is Miss Teen USA, a very, lovely young woman.
Right.
Although it's hard to say I don't look at looks and yet I own the Miss Universe contest.
That's what I mean. I can't believe it for real.
Sort of like, well, I'm trying to be very politically correct. This is a world of being politically correct, and which is destroying our country, by the way. Everyone's so politically correct.
You can't even call anyone fat anymore.
You can't call anybody fat.
You can't.
They accused me. They said that I called Rosie O'Donnell a big, fat slob. And I said, that's not right. I didn't use the word fat. But I've got to...
You're still angry with her?
No, I don't care about Rosie. Rosie's gone. She's gone.
I like her.
You do, really?
Yeah, I really do.
Well,
I've had her to my home. We have dinner
Well,
together.
you know, if Rosie finally, says something nice about Donald will be
I'm going to bring you guys together.
Because you're a guy.
Don't bother. It's okay. But
I'm going to bring you together.
She's fine. I don't really think about her, to be honest. But what happens is the young woman from the Miss Teen USA, beautiful young woman, got very much involved with the whole porno deal. And she actually, we suggested it to her because it's nicer. But she actually was, she gave her letter of resignation. Because, that system, that beauty pageant system, people don't give it enough credit. It's an amazing system. These parents, the way these girls, most of them are grown. I mean, it's amazing.
How does it work, though?
It's like a military regiment.
No, but how does it work? In other words, did she try to cover, she was in a porn, obviously, years ago or something?
She was in a porn, and it came out, and because she...
It could have been years ago. She's not that old.
Within the world of the beauty pageants, Miss Teen USA, that's, potentially a Miss Universe candidate, Miss Universe. In some countries, like in South America, if you become Miss Universe, you don't pay taxes for the rest of your life. There's no bigger... In Venezuela, as an example, and we had Diana Mendoza. You remember the great Diana Mendoza 2 seasons ago on Apprentice, how beautiful she was. She was like the most beautiful.
Super hot.
But again, I didn't notice that. Anyway, but that in Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, if you become Miss Universe, you're like the biggest star. You're bigger than any soccer star. You're bigger than any. It's the biggest thing. So, anyway,
but describe to me how it works. In other words, let's say, so did she try to hide the fact that she was in a porno, and then you guys discover it?
We don't know whether or not she hid it, but it came out. And the problem is because she's Miss Teen USA, all of a sudden she has a lot of notoriety, and probably one of her friends that's jealous of her because that's the way life works. Everyone's jealous. They're all jealous of you, Howard.
Of course.
They all kiss your ass. And then they, behind your back, they say you're terrible.
But what was she thinking being in a porn?
I don't know. Well, because it was before she did this.
Was it a home
She didn't know she was going to be Miss Teen USA.
She figured she'll do porn, she'll make some money, and then she'll become Miss Teen USA, unrelated. And that's what happened. She won Miss Teen
USA. Will you watch the porn? I'm going to see it because...
Will you call me and let me know how good it is?
You're going to watch it because you know what? She must be insanely hot. When do you see a girl that insanely hot in porn?
She's supposed to be very beautiful. I mean, I've met her once quickly, but she's supposed to be very beautiful. But she got involved, and she actually offered her letter of resignation, and we had to accept it. You would not have. You would not have accepted it.
Oh no, I would have made.
You would have said you're a double winner, right?
Well, if she hadn't resigned, what would you have done? Would you have just fired her?
Well, we probably would have had to. It's a very unique system. I mean, the parents would have gone nuts. The people that, and it's a big. I look at the different magazines, and I see how they're dying. Right? They're just dying.
It's over.
You look at pageant. Did you ever hear of a word magazine pageantry?
No.
The thing's like 2 inches. You never saw anything like it.
I'm heterosexual, of course.
Well, okay, pageantry, but it's a magazine on beauty pageants, and it's like through the roof, and it's just amazing. It's a big deal, and she did this, and she was forced to, and she was asked to, but she resigned, and she did the right thing.
Did your Twitter account get hacked?
Yeah, it got hacked.
How does that happen?
Somebody, you got a lot of geniuses out there, and I have a hot Twitter account, @RealDonaldTrump. Will you tell your people to hook in? So @RealDonaldTrump.
Isn't it crazy to you that somebody that smart is busy wasting their time hacking into your Twitter?
Yeah, it doesn't do them any good other than they get arrested. It's like crazy. So we're looking at it.
If you had that ability, wouldn't you spend every minute inventing stuff and becoming very wealthy?
Well, they hooked in and they put a quote from Lil Wayne on my account.
On your account?
And for 10 minutes, I was really ridiculed. All the enemies said Trump has lost it. This was something to do with the hoes and women. All women are hoes. So, the thing came out, and I'm going to have, in a very short period of time, over 3 million people.
Wow.
And it's a big deal. And
sure.
I think they pick up 20 to 25,000 sometimes a month. And, it's just going through the roof.
How many tweets do you do a day?
Mine's new compared to some of these. What?
How many Twitter followers does Mark Cuban have?
I don't know. I didn't check.
Don't you? You have to
check. I hope he has a lot. I didn't check.
Don't you check every day to see if you have more followers than Mark Cuban?
No, but I have other people that I do check that with. I do have other people.
Who do you check? Who do you check?
I have very important followers. I have, haters, and I have losers, and I have reporters, and I have everybody's on mine.
But I know you. You must have actually researched this whole Twitter thing, and you probably have people who know how to cultivate it and how to, handle this Twitter thing.
I have great people. But you know what? More importantly, but it's my thought. I mean, it's my thoughts. Nobody else will give thoughts like this. And, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is my thought. Like, for instance, the Pope. Why is he should just
Ride it out.
And die. He looked so bad. Everyone's saying, what did he do wrong? You know, they said it wasn't the first time. I said, oh, really? When was the last time? 600 years ago. Okay, let's call that the first time, right? But the Pope should just sort of sit back and enjoy and relax.
Of
and
course.
Put some other people and run it and you die. You know, I'm used to watching old popes, like Pope John. I mean, the guy couldn't even walk. He was bent over like a pretzel. And he was cool.
But the thing is, Donald, you must imagine that something very bad is forcing him out of office.
It probably was, but I don't know. This Pope didn't resonate. You know, a little bit like Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney should have won the election, and I liked him, and I do like him. He's a nice man, but he didn't resonate.
He does. You don't warm up to this Pope.
You know, I like Mitt Romney, and I call them the same. This Pope didn't resonate. First of all, he comes from Germany. Somehow, you know, hey, I'm part German. You know, a German Pope. I'm not sure that works.
What do you think of the new black Pope, maybe? That might be a big deal.
That would be very exciting.
Donald wants to see a birth certificate.
Do you want to see a birth certificate on the black Pope?
That would be very exciting.
Very exciting.
Hey, but listen, on the Twitter. So it's like I'll have 3 million, 4 million people within whatever period of time, right? So for, you know, millions of people. So essentially, I own more than the New York Times by a lot.
Right.
And I don't have to sustain the losses.
That's true.
You know, the New York Times used to have a lot of power. Now it's a whole different thing, and it loses its ass. You know, I mean, the newspaper business is going to be over very soon. When people see me reading a newspaper, like my kids, Ivanka comes in. She said, Daddy, what are you doing? She looked at me reading a
What is that?
She doesn't understand what I'm doing.
I know. It's
You're getting
such
your hands dirty with that print. Why are you doing that, Daddy? And she picks out her computer. She presses the name Donald Trump, and she gives me 20 stories.
Don't you? Isn't there something you love about still holding a newspaper in your hand? Me too.
We're old-fashioned. They do too.
Yeah.
We're old-fashioned. But you get about 10 years younger, it's like they look at us like, forget it.
Hey, do you lay in bed and watch the Oscars, and do you tweet during the Oscars?
Well, I did this time. And I got
Are you laying in bed with your wife when you're watching the Oscars?
Generally speaking, yes.
Were you completely nude and she was nude?
Well, let's not comment on that. But at least she has a great figure.
You ever did your tweet, we're here completely nude?
Yeah, but we won't comment on that. But she has a great figure. But I did tweet on the Oscars, and I...
Yeah, you didn't like the Oscars so much.
No, I thought they were... I didn't... First of all, I thought the set was terrible. It was so tacky. It was disgusting. I really thought Seth MacFarlane was fine.
Right.
I thought that, I don't like him. You know, he did me on the Comedy Central roast. They roasted the hell out of me, by the way.
Right, I remember.
Yeah. He was the guy, and he was terrific. It was terrific then, but he could really be the Seth. He was held back, even though they said he went too much. He was held back.
Right.
But I thought that, you know, there was a lack of glamour. I mean, even the woman who won, she falls down the stairs. You know, that's very glamorous.
That dress, I mean.
No, think of it. Think of it. In the old days, Vivian Lee.
They knew how to do it.
But, you know, you're right in a way.
Vivian Lee did not fall. Clark Gable didn't...
You're right. Her falling down was sort of the symbol, if you will, of the whole thing falling apart.
Yeah, the whole... No, I thought it was fine, but I didn't find... And I tweeted. I said, where is the glamour? Because I'm a romantic. People wouldn't know that about me, but I'm a major romantic. But I said, where is the glamour? Where is the beauty? There's no beauty. There's no glamour.
Why can't I warm up to that Anne Hathaway? I find her annoying.
You know what? I'll tell you what. It's going to happen. She lived in Trump Tower. I like all people that live in my buildings. Okay?
Right.
Anybody that lives in my building, even if they're really unattractive, I consider them to be beautiful. All right? So what happens is she lives in my building. She lived there with the Italian scoundrel. You know the scoundrel?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we didn't know. He paid his rent on time until the very end. You know, it was one of those things. But she got lucky when she got rid of this guy. But she lived in my building, so I got to see her up close and personal. I wasn't a fan at all, but she's grown on me. You know, it's like the Mona Lisa. A lot of times you'll have a painting. Friends of mine that really do the paintings big league. A lot of times they won't like it, but in the end they almost fall in love with it. They're like infatuated with it. They can't leave. I mean, they become sickos. They want to sit in the room and look at the
She's a
painting.
terrific actress, but when she makes those speeches, when she makes those speeches with, oh my God, it's very...
Well, that's all phony rehearsed stuff.
Right, it's all actressy to me, you know?
You know, when they get up and they want to thank people and they forget and they don't really forget, but they want to make it like it's a big deal because they're so excited. It's all bullshit.
Do you know why I disagree? You know what I disagreed with you on? Don?
What?
I feel this movie, Django Unchained, was one of the greatest movies of all time.
No, I didn't think so.
Did you watch it?
I'm with you, Donald.
Wait a second. Did you watch it?
It was a movie that. First of all,
loves movies.
Okay, for those of us,
It's great, and it's not racist.
But for, like the sick kid up in Massachusetts, up in Connecticut, that wacko kid, that dirty wacko kid.
Lanza?
Now, if a kid like this is going to see this movie, if you're a little bit off to start off with, that movie is not good for people to see. Okay, because I've never seen a movie where so many bodies exploded as a bullet hit them. I mean, I've never seen a movie that bad in terms of that. And, I just
Terminator.
thought it was a terrible movie. I thought it was a totally racist movie.
No, why would you say
It's
that?
not racist.
I thought it was racist.
I'll tell you why it's not racist.
First you had the white guys killing the blacks, then you had the black guys killing the white. I thought it was a terribly racist movie, and I thought it was really vicious and really, I thought it was bad. These people that talk about gun control and should we have guns and shouldn't we have guns, but when you look at that movie can really screw up some kid that's a little
I admired that movie, and I'll tell you why. It reminded me, even though it's a fantasy, it reminded me that our country was based on something so horrible, so horrific, slavery. And that if anything, it had the opposite effect on me. It made me feel more empathic with the black plight.
Well, I didn't like it, and I thought it was a totally racist movie. So what are you going to do?
I think you're reaching, Howard. You're
Not
saying
at all.
that
Yeah,
movie did that for everyone. That did that for you, and no one else. It was totally.
Howard's trying to be politically.
Not at all.
Absolutely. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Halfway through the movie, I turned to my wife. I said, Quentin Tarantino is a genius, and this is one of the most emotional movies I've ever seen.
Because you're adding something to the movie that's not there.
You're all crazy.
Politically correct.
Really? He's being outrageous.
Robin, this is going to be a headline tomorrow.
I'm not trying to be politically correct.
There's going to be a headline tomorrow. Howard Stern tries to be political. Because
no.
How long have you been in the air, Howard?
Donald, this is how I really feel.
Ever that he's been politically correct.
I'm telling you my true belief. I've always been honest.
Movie, Howard, and it was a shitty movie in my opinion.
One of the best movies ever made.
It was totally just a revenge movie. It was nothing.
I thought it was a nothing movie, and I thought, when a bullet hits a body, the body doesn't have to explode for 2 blocks away. The whole thing was disgusting, and that happened hundreds of times. I thought it was disgusting, and I thought it was very bad for young people to see that movie because I think it can really influence them.
Did you have sex during the Academy Awards?
No, I didn't.
When's the last time you had sex?
He paid attention.
When is the last time you had sex with your wife?
Well, let's see. What time is it?
Come on, be honest.
What time is it, Rob?
Be honest.
I won't say that, but
has it really been that long?
I have a great wife. I do. I have a great wife, a beautiful wife. She was on the cover of Avenue magazine. She's been on many, many covers, including Vogue. She's a great person.
Will we ever see
a very nice person.
Will we ever see her do a nude layout?
No, I don't think so.
That's a shame.
I tend to doubt it.
Very sexy woman.
I tend to doubt it. I think if we do, I will not be a happy camper.
And that woman stays in shape, man.
Oh, she's in shape. But she's naturally in shape. It's not a big workout deal or anything, which is nicer, to be honest.
Well, she knows with you she's got to stay in shape.
I saw a woman the other day. She's in shape, but then I touched her arm and it was like a piece of steel.
That's right.
I don't like that. She's naturally in good shape. Absolutely. She's a very beautiful woman, considered one of the great beauties of the world. So I don't know how I got her because, beauty doesn't matter to me.
That's right. Yeah,
I told you that.
Did you wake up one day and go, oh my God, she's actually beautiful?
No, that's the way it happened.
You fell in love with her personality first. Well, listen to me.
I fell in love with her soul. So listen, Howard, I'm going to do the Today Show now, so I have to run.
Oh.
But I will tell you, see who I do first? I do Howard first, then Robin.
Who will...
Robin's so important to you, Howard. Do you have any idea how lucky you are, Howard?
I thank God every day.
I mean,
I do.
Robin is just great. She's got such a way.
She's fantastic.
No, that's true, and I've said it a long time.
She is fantastic.
This is not a major breaking story, but she is fantastic.
You're right.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right.
So, Howard, I just wanted to call you up, the Nielsen ratings. And
very good. We have it.
The Apprentice versus that other show, Shark Tank, which is fine, by the way. I think it's fine, but if you look, The Apprentice blows it away. Do you have the Nielsen ratings?
I have it in front of me. You're not lying.
Confirm that.
I am confirming it right now.
Thank you.
By the way, answer this one question. How old is Melania allowed to get before you cut off her age?
Well, I'd love to give you an answer there, Howard, because I could do it, but then it becomes a headline, and so I would say this. When she's 80, 90, I would still consider her a great beauty and a great wife.
Yeah, I think this marriage is going to last. I always said it.
Well, she's very strong and very nice. I mean, she understands me. She gives me my space, which I really need.
See Donald Trump on All-Star Celebrity Apprentice premiering this Sunday night at 9 o'clock on NBC. That's very important to get out there.
Well, it is. It is.
All right.
You know, one quick story on Melania, because I have a couple of minutes. They just helped me. But one quick story, because I do love this show. One quick story. So Tom Cruise calls me, and he wants to go to the women's skating rink. So I call up Melania. I say, can you believe it? Tom Cruise called. Do you believe it? She goes, but why do you tell me this? You're a much bigger star than him. He is nothing. Tom Cruise is just a
She's amazing.
Star in the world. There's no bigger star.
She knows how to get you hard.
Oh, no, I said, really? Do you believe that? Yes, of course. Don't even waste my time by telling me about that. And I'm saying, you know, other people, if I said that, they'd say, I can't believe, what does he want you for? You know, so she's very smart, and she's a terrific woman, and that's good.
She loves you.
Well, and I love you guys, and take care of yourselves. I just want to set the record straight.
Who will be interviewing you on the Today?
Matt Lauer.
All right, very good.
Okay?
All right.
So long.
So long.
Bye-bye.
The wonderful and vivacious Donald Trump, who reminds us that he is beating Mark Cuban in the ratings, even still.
It's amazing to me that he takes that kind of move and has that kind of attention to detail. It's part of what's made him who he is.
He cares. He honestly cares.
Well, he protects his brand. He doesn't even want anybody out there thinking what Mark Cuban said.
That's right, Robin. And that's all cleared up. All right, look, we've got a busy show today. I have to stop down and take a break.
Who this? I teach high school, and most days of the week I come to school in stilettos. I get to stand at about 6'6", and the reason why is so I can create an explicitly queer space for all of my students. That way they know that this place is a place for them, by them, and because I never had one of those growing up. So, yeah.
What's that supposed to be? Some kind of sick joke?
I'm re-adopted, cocksucker. You understand?
What else we got going on here? Donald Trump's going to call in today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's always good to talk to Donald Trump. He's always got shit on his mind.
What's he up?
And he doesn't hold back. Nah, I think he's just going to call in and say hello. Okay. Tell me when Donald Trump's on the phone. I'll do my thing till then. I was like talking to him. I was like giving him brackets for hot chicks. And,
he loves getting into that with you.
And he feuds with a lot of people, so I'm kind of I'm always kind of curious who he hates the most. I got a bracket for Donald Trump about who he hates the most. And
about beautiful women?
And hot chick, yeah. I got some of the latest hot chicks on here, and he'll tell me which ones are the best.
He knows them all.
Yeah, I see Donald on a lot of shows now, and, you know, they ask him about politics and things, but I like him better when he's just talking about girls and people he can't stand. That's my take with Donald Trump. I love when he talks.
You don't even give this conversation about him possibly running for president again.
No, because
anytime at all.
Because he's never going to run for president. If he wanted to, he would have done it years ago, because it was perfect timing years ago. I think it was more about, you know, promotion and selling a book at that time, and I think this whole Donald Trump for president thing always is good for publicity, but I don't think he actually wants to be the president. I think he's got too great a life. I mean, he's got so much fun in his life. You know, why would he want to be the president? you know what I mean?
Why does he even bring it up?
Well, because as I say, it's really good for publicity.
Good promotion.
Yeah, it's good promotion. People get all charged up and they go, oh, Donald Trump's going to run for president.
But he never does.
He never does. Not interested. And, you see, it's fun. I mean, I've been down to his place, Mar-a-Lago. Like, if I owned that place, I would never even leave.
Yeah, I think another son is getting married at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, that's true. I was invited.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Are you going?
Yeah, sure. Okay. No, I don't know if I am or not. I don't think I am, because I would have any excuse to go down to that Mar-a-Lago. They could bury me there. I love it. But, you know, I live here. I was saying, hey, Donald.
Hi, Howard.
Saying that place you got, Mar-a-Lago, if I was you, I would never leave there. I would just stay there. And that's why I know you would never run for president. I mean, I think it's good.
Well, maybe he'd run the country from there.
That would be the White House. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, you've got such a great life. And I know this is good for publicity when they all carry on that you're going to run for president. But I know you, and Why would you want to lessen your lifestyle by being the president?
Well, Howard, the country is going to hell, but I will say, Mar-a-Lago was given over to the United States government. It was built by Marjorie Merriweather Post-T F. Hutton, and it was tremendous. It cost $30 million to build in the 1920s. If
Wow.
you can believe that. So
It's
that
a
tells you
beautiful
about Mar-a-Lago,
place.
But it's a great place. And
Not only is it a great place, it's like being on a movie set. Like, you go to dinner. I took my
well,
wife
if they
there.
spent $30 million back in that day,
Yeah.
that's like $100 million today.
But I took my wife there for dinner and was like, wow, and I took my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and we're like sitting there, and it's like I feel like I'm in a movie or something.
Robert, I saw them sitting there, and I said, that's the all-American family, central casting.
Well, how did Howard
I was
get to
going
the
to take their
table?
picture, quietly take their picture, and use it as an ad. You can't get a better-looking group of people.
You know, it's funny, because you go there, and every guy looks like, like Donald Trump. Like, they got a suit on,
Right.
and I dressed up and everything. But wherever you put me, I look like I'm in the wrong place. You know what I mean?
That club has been so it's too big for a house. It's got 58 bedrooms. It's got 142
58?
rooms. So I decided to make it a club, and it wasn't easy. I had to sue Palm Beach. I had to sue everybody, and anyway, so I end up getting my approvals, which I do. I'm very good.
By the way, nothing
getting approvals.
Nothing ever bothers you. Like you'll sue.
It doesn't matter if people say no.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You'll just somehow.
Well, no, it was the right thing to do. I mean, it's not a house. I remember my daughter Ivanka. I couldn't find her when she was in the house. We had to go through all these rooms. We're looking all over the house. You can't find them. So it's actually a very comfortable place, but it should be a club. It was given to the United States government. Okay.
Explain something to me.
During Richard Nixon, it was given to be the Southern White House because it's got the massive walls outside. They're 35 feet high and they're 4 feet thick, and they circle so you have total privacy on 22 acres.
Now, if somebody wants to eat there, they have to be a member of it?
They have to be a member.
Oh, you just can't come in off the public and eat.
You're a member. I mean, you have to be a member of Mar-a-Lago to be there. And you see the kind of crowds we get. I mean, the place is so successful. Anyway, so Richard Nixon had it. It was his first. When she died, it was willed over to the United States government, and Richard Nixon had it, and he loved it. He was there one time, but of course he then got embroiled in Watergate, so he wasn't able to use it too much. He had bigger problems, right? So then Jimmy Carter became president, and, he used to carry his suit coming off a plane because he thought it was inappropriate for a Marine to carry his suit or for anybody to carry his own clothing. So even though he was president, remember the scenes of him walking out of a plane carrying his luggage?
Yeah, because he wanted to be like a regular guy.
Yeah, this is what the country wanted, was a president that wanted to carry his luggage off a 747.
By the way, you have said that you feel that Obama doesn't walk off the plane the proper way, like a president should.
Well, he bounces off the plane. He runs down the stairs. I'll tell you what, Ford fell down the stairs one time. And of all places, it was Austria. They're standing at attention. Everyone's perfect. And this guy falls off the plane. Someday Obama's going to fall as he bounces off the plane.
In other words, there is a presidential walk that you would like to see the president do to be more regal. Am I correct?
I don't think he should be running down the stairs. I mean, he's bouncing and running down the stairs, and I don't think it looks very presidential. But, of course, he doesn't look, he's not much of a president. Hey, look, he is making the happiest person about President Obama and his presidency is Jimmy Carter. Because Jimmy Carter is no longer the worst president ever.
You feel Obama has surpassed him as the worst president?
No, absolutely. There's not even a question about it. I mean, we're a disaster. You look at Russia, you look at this 5-to-1 trade. We get a traitor, and they get 5 leaders that are killers, okay? I mean,
You would not have made that deal if you were president.
No, I don't think you see Trump making that deal. No, I don't think so.
But then what do you do if you want to leave no prisoner behind? And I've heard people say...
Donald seems to think that the guy's a traitor.
Doesn't matter. You don't leave any American overseas.
You can't deal with terrorists, okay?
Right.
He's a low-life traitor. He walked off a number of times, but this time they caught him and they nabbed him. But if he were a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, you don't make a trade. You don't make a trade. You cannot negotiate that way. You can't. They've emboldened these people, and you see what's happening.
And we've left people behind plenty of times.
You see what's happening even since then. Look what's going on. Here we spend $2 trillion in Iraq, the dumbest war ever.
Right.
I call it the world's dumb war. By the way, I'm no Bush fan, just so you understand. Obama should have gotten us out much quicker.
Don't you think Bush is the worst president in the fact that he lied about weapons of mass destruction? Here's my argument. He lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We were told that they had them.
True.
They did not. We go in. Now we're in this quagmire. The best friend that we ever had was Saddam Hussein. At least he kept that region stable.
Right.
Now, one thing with Saddam Hussein, he killed terrorists. They were petrified of this guy.
Oh, they scared.
There was no terrorists. He had other problems.
Right.
Yeah, and they even had us convinced that he had Al-Qaeda in that country, and he didn't.
Well,
there was no terrorism. And the other thing he did is he held Iran at bay.
Yes.
For years.
That's right.
For hundreds of years, they go back and forth. 2 feet one way, 2 feet the other way, then they get tired of
Iran was afraid of Iraq and Saddam Hussein. And by the way...
But now what happens is we've decapitated that country.
Yeah.
Now, how about this one? Of all the trades, you talk about the 5-for-1. This is going to be the best. So now Obama calls Iran to go in and help us. Now, Iran's going to go in and help us, say, okay, we'll do you a favor. They're never going to go out. They're going to take over Iraq. Right. So for centuries, they've wanted to take over Iraq. And now this
We're handing them the keys.
is just giving them, please go in and straighten out. So they'll wipe out these guys, from...
So Robin made a good point yesterday, and she got me thinking the right way. She says, look, let's say we go in and we help out the situation in Iraq yet again, and we could certainly take care of these maniacs who are parading themselves around the country.
But not easily.
Not easily. But we could go in and do it. If we do that, as soon as we leave again, whether it's 100 years from now or 2 years from now, they're going to just do it all over again. At some point, why not just cut our loss and let them figure this out? It's their battle. Let's get out of there.
Those people have to determine what kind of lives they want to live. It's none of our business.
What do you think of that?
We should never have been there in the first place.
Granted. So what do we do now?
It's a disaster also, but we should never have been there in the first place.
So what do we do now?
We should not be going back.
Good. All right.
The problem is this. The day we leave, they're going to do it. I don't care if we're there for 25 years and we educate them and we do all the things that we've been doing. I mean, we're building them schools, which are now blown up, by the way, but we're building them schools. But you can't build a school in Brooklyn because there's no money in this.
Right, so we have to stop.
You can't build a school in California and Los Angeles. We should rebuild our own country. We should make our country great again. I mean, a little example. If you would have seen Mar-a-Lago when I took it over.
It was like a bomb hit
today, but in a big way. We have to rebuild our own country. The Woolman skating rink in Central Park was a disaster.
Right, I remember when you rebuilt that.
And I rebuilt it quickly. It was 9 years under construction. They had spent $24 million. It was a total catastrophe. The Koch administration didn't know what to do. I took it over. I rebuilt it in 3 months.
I remember...
And the biggest part of the rebuilding was ripping down everything they had put up because it was so badly done.
Well, you make a good point. If our country doesn't rebuild our schools and rebuild Detroit...
Our infrastructure.
And our infrastructure, we're doomed. And if we go over and start building schools in Iraq...
That'll get blown up and not used.
What's the point,
So Howard and Robin, I just get back from the Middle East, okay?
What were you doing there?
There for whatever reason. They'd like me. Even though I knocked the hell out of them, even though I say OPEC is ripping us off like nobody before, they said, Donald, could you possibly stop? I said, no, I can't stop saying that. I'm not going to stop saying that.
Why would you risk your life going to the Middle East?
They're friends of mine. I have great relationships over there. I have fantastic relationships. I'm actually doing a massive job in Dubai, and I'm actually going to be doing another big job in Dubai. Dubai is booming. But here's the thing. So we land at the airport, and my pilot says, oh, look at this runway. This is magnificent, Mr. Trump. He's used to landing at LaGuardia where we have potholes on the runway.
Right.
How about the sign that's made out of 2x4s? That's 35 years old and warped and rotting. We love New York with a little apple in the middle. Okay? That's cardboard, and it's all rotted and falling down. This is our airport. So I landed at an airport in Dubai. It is now the biggest Maktoum Airport, the biggest airport in the world. The runways are like glass. You never saw anything so smooth, so perfect. Everything's good. You go to China, you got airports, you got bridges, you got roadways like you've never seen. Here we have roadways. You go up these roadways that we have, you have to drive slowly because you'll destroy your car. The country's falling apart, and we're spending trillions of dollars on these countries that don't care.
You make a point. When China and Dubai have better airports than we do, we're no longer a big power.
Well, I went to Qatar, right? And I'm in Qatar, and the head person is showing me the airport. And they have magnificent rooms. You never saw anything like it. The lobby, the this, the that. I say, this is the nicest airport I've ever seen. He goes, no, this is just temporary. There is the new airport being built. And they're showing me, and I'm in this airport where they have you never saw an airport like this, right? This is going to be ripped down in a year because the new one's under construction. And you look in the horizon at the new one, and there's like 40 cranes in a straight line. They're building this airport. And I say, isn't it sad that our country can't be doing that?
All right, but let me ask you something. You're a Republican guy, and you certainly want to keep taxes low. I think what you're advocating, though, is we raise taxes and build infrastructure, yes?
No, what I'm advocating is we build up our businesses and we stop letting China make... And we stop letting other countries take our jobs.
You know, whenever you call me, somebody starts calling you.
I have so many calls coming, Howard. That's one thing true. And
it's cutting off keywords.
And you know what it is, too? It's cutting off keywords, and it's someone's listening to us and going, I'm going to call Donald.
I'll call Donald now. He's on the phone with us.
You know what else?
What?
I'm a very popular person. It's one of those things. But, you know, we'll have to suffer through it.
All right, let me ask you some brackets here, because this is the most important thing. All right. I put together people you hate. I want to know who you hate the most in the world, all right?
Well, I don't say hate.
All right, well, wait a second.
Not hate.
You got
disrespect.
Let's do brackets.
Go ahead.
Okay, ready? First bracket. Barack Obama versus Jerry Seinfeld. Now, I bring up these are only people you have feuds with.
Yeah.
All right. Barack Obama, we know you're not happy with him in terms of the presidency.
I don't hate Barack Obama. I just think he's a very bad president.
Right. It's nothing personal with you.
I think he doesn't know what he's doing. He has no experience. You do need a deal maker of sorts. He has no experience. He's never made a deal. The only deal he ever made was for his house, and that was questionable in Chicago. By the way, do you like my Chicago sign, Howard?
I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on with you.
You like my Chicago sign?
Your Chicago sign?
The sign on the side of my... Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No. What is this?
Wow. Well, I built a great building in Chicago. I have a sign up, and it got a lot of publicity last week. I'm surprised you didn't hear about it, but it's a beautiful sign.
I mean, how many projects you got go? What are you worth? What are you worth right now?
I just bought, as an example, yesterday I closed on the great resort in Scotland called Turnberry, 2,000 acres on the ocean, incredible.
When you say you closed on it, you bought
I bought it.
You bought it.
Yeah.
Now that's something that's been in contention for years, right?
Turnberry is one of the greats ever. I mean, Turnberry, no, not contention. But I bought Doral in Miami, 800 acres in the middle of Miami 4 years ago, and it's going to be amazing.
These are all big golf resorts.
These are some golf resorts. I'm starting the old post office building on Pennsylvania Avenue, which is this great post office that was built in 1880. Incredible. The walls are 4 foot thick, solid granite. That's when the country had money. They used to build them like that.
What do you do when you're looking for a deal?
Right.
You look over the situation.
Right.
And these places, are in distress, and you say, hey, if I put my name and my intention...
Well, ideally they're in distress. I mean, I love distress.
Right.
Distress is a very good word.
Because you're not afraid to take...
No, I love when something's in distress. That means you buy it for the right price.
That's right.
Right.
I love the word distress. I don't like things, like I turn down a lot of things that aren't in distress. Because if they're not in distress, they don't need me.
Right.
Hey, our country's in distress. Okay.
But you would rather take something that, like, once was maybe a jewel.
And it can easily be a jewel with competent leadership.
But a lot of people don't do it because they're afraid that the thing will not make money once they pump money into the thing.
Or they're afraid they, don't know what they're doing.
So how do you know when you buy 800 acres in Scotland that this thing's going to be big?
Well, it's phenomenal, stable, it's great, it's on the water, it's a whole thing. It'll be great. It already is great.
But you never say to yourself...
That's one, in all fairness, that's one that already is great.
But you never say to yourself, hey, this thing is, I'm afraid because even though I think it's great, what if I can't make a go of this? You just can't power through that.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And if you look at Doral, so I buy Doral, I buy it out of bankruptcy about 3.5 years ago, which is a long time because Miami's gone through the roof. So just if I did nothing, it's worth a lot more than I paid for it, because Miami's just gone way through the roof. So I buy Doral, 800 acres. It's now being finished. It's unbelievable. It's the #1 resort in the United States.
So now it's doing big business.
Big, tremendous. Everyone wants to go there. Everybody from Miami is going there.
So 1 million developers probably passed on the Doral.
No, there was a lot of competition. I actually bought it in a bidding competition. Now, getting these things isn't that easy because, people are smart. There are a lot of smart people around, and they bid and they want it.
But how do you identify?
Somebody wrote about me recently. I was sort of interested. He said, Donald Trump has a knack for getting the best locations. Like the old post office. I'm converting that into a 300-room super luxury hotel. Super luxury. It's a massive building, massive suites. Could be the most luxurious hotel anywhere in the world. In Chicago, we just got rated the best hotel in North America by Condé Nast Traveler.
So how do you identify these properties? You can't possibly
location. I see them. It could be a site. It could be a building. It could be a building that needs help. It could be, a resort. But I see things that, I know that when I fix them, they'll be great. And if they're not great,
And is it
I've never had that happen before.
Is it a group of people that you invest with? In other words, do people come to you and say, hey, I want to put money in your projects. You're a winner. You know, everything you invest.
But I don't have partners. I mean, for the most part, I do these things myself now. I have a lot of cash. I have a lot of cash flow. These projects cash flow great. And usually I just use my own money.
No
think if I had a partner on Mar-a-Lago. I wouldn't want a partner on Mar-a-Lago. But where if I want to paint the ceiling, they'll say, what's the return on investment for the paint, okay?
No kidding.
I want to be able to.
You do this all on your own?
I do them all by myself, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, we have a great company. I've built a great company.
So you're saying if you were the president, you just do the same business plan?
Except it would be easier. It would be much easier. We have such potential. The country has such potential. You know, as an example, we have, in the last 5 years, we learned this through technology, we have tremendous value under our land, under our feet. But we're not allowed to take it out. We take our coal, and they destroyed the coal industry in this country, all right, destroyed it. And you could have clean coal. I'm not saying that's as good as natural gas and other things, but, you know, we sell our coal to China. China then lets the coal go up, and they use it as an inexpensive form of energy, and they don't worry about pollution, but then they talk about the carbon footprint. You know, they talk about carbon footprints, and then they laugh at how stupid the United States is, because their factories are much more efficient than our factories. But we're not allowed to use coal, and yet China is buying all of our coal, which is amazing.
So if you were the president, you would...
I'd have clean coal. By the way, as one of many, many, many forms of energy.
All right, let's get back to the bracket.
Go ahead.
All right, who do you dislike more, Barack Obama or Jerry Seinfeld? Jerry Seinfeld, you had him booked for a charity event, and you got pissed off because he didn't show up at it,
well,
right?
I don't dislike either. I don't dislike Obama. We went into that. Now, Jerry Seinfeld, I've never been a fan of his. I don't find him funny. He's an awkward guy, and, you know, a lot of people think awkward people are funny because they, you know, view him as like a lot of other people. I don't get it, but they find him awkward. Like this guy, Seth Meyers. He's an awkward person.
You don't like...
No, I watch him. He's just an awkward... He shouldn't be doing television. He's an awkward person. He's got no... Hey, whatever happened to Johnny Carson, Howard? Okay, where's Johnny Carson? Give me a break.
You liked him because he...
Carson was great. He was a friend of mine. Johnny Carson was great.
You're saying comedians have...
Look, you watch him and you'd say, I was going to college, the Wharton School of Finance. I'd watch the guy every night. You'd say, now, there's a guy. There's a guy. Look at him. He's great.
You looked up to him.
I knew him. I didn't look up to him because I knew him too well. You know, he was a friend of mine.
You knew Johnny Carson?
Johnny had some serious problems.
What was his... What was Johnny's problems?
Well, he had a big drinking problem. And when he drank a little bit too much, he was nasty. People would come up, hi, Johnny, how you doing, Johnny? Could I have your order? Get this guy, and they'd beat him up. You know, they'd beat up the guy that came up with orders. The only one worse was Frank Sinatra. They're all friends of mine. I mean, these guys. Frank Sinatra, guys would come up. I'll tell you a quick story. So Frank Sinatra is with me in Monte Carlo, and we're having dinner, and he has a huge fight with his wife because his wife said something negative about somebody, and he had this huge fight in front of me, and I was unmarried at the time. I had this very beautiful model, and she didn't know what was happening. I mean, she was just like in a state. And he's screaming at his wife, and I'm trying to pretend like nothing's happening. I'm talking to this guy. What he's saying to his wife, you wouldn't believe, right? Now we walk out to the lobby, and a young man is there, like 25 years old, 28 years old, and he just got married. And he said, Mr. Sinatra, sir, I admire you so much. Now, this guy's fuming, Sinatra. He's just standing there fuming. Mr. Sinatra, sir, we just got married, and would it be possible? We got married to My Way. I'll never forget it. My Way, your song, My Way. Would it be possible to have a picture? And Sinatra says, get this fucking guy out of here. And Jimmy Rizzo was a guy that worked with him, his bodyguard. Right. And they had 2 or 3 guys. They beat the hell out of him. And the guy was laying on the floor, almost like semi-unconscious in the lobby of this incredible restaurant. And I didn't even want to say to Frank, you know, Frank, wouldn't it be easy just to get this? But I never saw anything like. So Frank was the worst in terms of people. You know, Frank was seriously evil.
And what do you do?
And Johnny Carson was very evil. Johnny was really evil when he got a little bit drunk. He was nasty.
But isn't it funny?
But he was a pro on television. Then you watch a guy like Seth Meyers. He can't even get the words out of his mouth. He's terrible. This has nothing to do with me. I mean, he's not. God did not put him on this planet to do what he's doing. You understand?
In other words, your point of view is that the comedians today it's sort of become the thing where people are awkward and a little bit off, a little bit shy, kind of. They're snarky.
Not really. I think probably, you know, there are great comedians. I like comedy. I like comedians. I think it's great. No, I think Jerry Seinfeld, what angered me about Jerry Seinfeld is my son raises tremendous amounts of money for charity. I have a son who's a very good person, Eric Trump.
Right.
And he's got a little foundation, the Eric Trump Foundation. He really works hard on St. Jude's, and that's children with cancer. And he loves St. Jude's. He spends tremendous amount of money, and he makes money, and I pay him a lot, and he does a great job. He's in charge, as an example, of Doonbeg in Ireland, which I bought, and he's in charge of a couple of jobs that are going up that I'm doing. He's fantastic.
It is nice that you do that. It is nice you hire your kids.
And Ivanka is doing a great job.
Right.
But Eric is, in charge of Turnberry as an example also. And he works hard, and he gives his money to charity. He loves charity. Okay, so he spends a lot of time with St. Jude's. And he's having a thing at one of my golf courses up in Westchester. I have this club that's a tremendous success, Trump International Golf Club. It's beautiful, beautiful clubhouse, beautiful everything. It's all full, and it's a big hit. And Eric is giving a charity up there, and Jerry Seinfeld has agreed to entertain, which is very nice, okay?
Right.
He's agreed for St. Jude's. And then something happened where I guess I made a statement politically, maybe about Obama, and Jerry Seinfeld said, I'm not going. Now, let me tell you, first of all, it has nothing to do with me, and for him to drop these kids at St. Jude's, who are incredible, beautiful kids, many of whom were there that night, and they're dying. I mean, many of them have died. But he dropped them because I made a statement about Obama or something, some ridiculous reason. And I've never liked Jerry Seinfeld after that. Now, I have to say, with that being said, before that event, I mean, he's not somebody, I had him at an event one time, and he bombed. He wasn't good. He gets up there very awkward, and a certain type of people like it. The type of people that I know that are sharp and quick, and unfortunately people I deal with, these are not easy people to deal with, they don't get it because they look at him as a bumbling guy. He's a bumbling guy. Do I like him? No. The reason I say I don't like him too much is that he disappointed the kids at St. Jude.
So I'm putting down Jerry in the bracketing versus Obama.
I don't dislike either of them. I was disappointed in Jerry because...
Well, who are you more disappointed in?
You got to be. Are you more disappointed in Barack Obama or Jerry Seinfeld?
Well, the president is letting this country go to hell.
All right, so we're putting down Barack Obama.
So, and by the way, I don't dislike Obama.
We didn't say you disliked him.
It's who
I would love to call you and say, and I'm a Republican, I would love to call and say our president is doing a great job. Because before I'm a Republican, I love the country. I'd like to see the country do well. The country's a laughing stock.
The country is not doing well. No one can disagree with you.
And many of our leaders don't put the country first.
I just got back from a big tour all over the world, in Europe, all over. The country's, we're a laughing stock. They look at me, they say, Donald, how does this happen? How do you get a guy like this? And they don't say that. Then you see the same people on television, they talk about the president. Yes, he's a wonderful man, but they don't say that when they're
behind closed doors.
And in other words, you're saying also it's not so great to be wonderful. Sometimes you have to be a real dick in order to run the world's greatest power, right?
Well, you have to be competent. You have to be competent. You have to be capable.
Yeah, what he's saying is they have a very low opinion of him behind closed doors, and yet they'll say in public that he's wonderful.
If you had to marry your daughter, well, let's get back to the bracket.
Wait, 1 second.
Yeah.
From the time you were young, you were told one of the worst things that could ever happen is when Russia and China, if they ever got together, right?
Right.
So they were never together. Excuse me. 1 month ago, they signed this unbelievable pact for oil. We forced them together. Our incompetence and our leadership and our president forced them together. Russia and China are now together. Never happened before.
Well, now, okay, so.
That's a big one. By the way, that's watch. That's a real bad thing.
I'm not getting anywhere in my bracket, though.
No, we can't get off Jerry Seinfeld.
But wait a second.
I want to stay away from your record because I only know...
All right, if one of those two guys had to marry your daughter, which one would you marry him off to?
I wouldn't be in favor of either. She's very happily married.
But you know what I'm saying. You got to choose a husband for one.
If between the two,
yeah,
I wouldn't choose either. I don't want to get into that.
All right, I'll give you a different bracket. Now, Rosie O'Donnell and Seth Meyers, you have a problem with both of them. Rosie, I don't think you made up.
Well, let me tell you a quick story. Maybe we can dispel something. So I'm the leading candidate, because I always do the best in the polls. You know, if I say I'm running, people
That's
like
right.
me. They like me. And
People
they know,
like you.
Hey, I don't even think they like me. They know I'm confident.
Right. They're not looking for likability. They want a guy.
I don't want like.
They're looking
they
for
want somebody who's.
success,
They're
yeah.
tired of people that are nice people that wave, hello, how are you, and then get taken to the cleaners for the country. So anyway, so I'm at the White House dinner. You know, this is pretty well stuff.
Yep.
And Obama is up talking, and his whole speech, he's talking so much about me. And I'm sitting there with like 6,000 or 7,000 people, the biggest press, the biggest people. They were all sitting there, and Obama's making his speech, and he's talking about me.
Right.
Right? So I say to my wife, this is unbelievable. The President of the United States, he's talking joke after joke about Trump. They show a picture of the White House called Trump White House on top of it. You know, big sign, Trump White House. They showed something else. He was very good. His delivery was great.
Right.
And it was nice. And it was funny. And it was respectful. And it was good. There was nothing. I had a great time.
Right.
And then Seth Meyers got up and he mumbled. He said something and it was nasty. To be honest, it was a little over the line. It was nasty. Shouldn't have said it. But that's okay. He's paying a big price because I've been tormenting this loser. But the fact
And you're not afraid to go to war with these people on Twitter.
Listen, Howard, but I had a great time. But I didn't know exactly how to react. Okay, so the President of the United States is up and he's telling little jokes about Trump. And I don't know. I was a little bit stern-faced, a little smile, but you know. But I hit my wife on the you know about this stuff. I hit my wife on the knee and I said, you know, this is amazing. The president's only talking about me. Okay, so now the evening ends. I had a great time, unbelievable time. And I went to the press. The press is going crazy because I'm telling you, if you look at that speech,
I remember.
Speech was about Trump. Joke after joke about Trump. They got everybody in the room, every candidate. All he wanted to talk about was Trump. Okay,
right.
So I leave the room, and the press is saying I said it was great. The president really did a good job, Papa. Next day, I read Washington Post. Trump humiliated in front of the Trump this, Trump that. I wasn't humiliated. I had a great time.
It wasn't your perception.
So the press is very dishonest. You know, they knew I had a great time, and the fact is, and
so who do you dislike more?
The president did a very good job. His delivery was great. Seth Meyers, he was stumbling and he couldn't get the words out, and he said something a little bit too nasty. You know, he went a little bit over.
What did he say that was so nasty?
Who knows? You
don't even remember.
No, I like to put. You know, I have a nice photographic memory, but I like to put things I don't like.
I don't blame you.
Aside.
I don't blame you when somebody
he said something a little bit that was over the line, and when he said that, I said he's off my list.
So who do you dislike more, Seth Meyers or Rosie O'Donnell?
Well, I don't respect either. I don't dislike them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rosie, when I gave the beauty pageant contestant who was a winner, who was beautiful, Tara.
Yes.
Remember Tara Conner, the great Tara Conner. She had a slight problem with alcohol, drugs, men. She got a lot of, you know, she's our champion, right? She's our queen. And when they wanted to fire her and destroy her life, I mean, she was going to be destroyed because it never happened before. And they came to my office, and there was a news conference in Trump Tower, and there were hundreds and hundreds of reporters. It became a huge story because of her beauty. By the way, sadly, if she weren't beautiful, nobody would have cared.
Right.
Okay? But she was so beautiful, and you remember the shot where they kept showing her walking back and forth in the bikini. You know, that was the only shot. They kept showing her in the bikini the night before.
Right.
So we go there, and the place is packed with reporters. They bring her up to my office. She's crying, devastated, and I say, what happened? And she said, ba, ba, ba. Okay. I told my people, I'm not going to fire her. They went crazy. I said, I don't care. I'm not going to destroy her life. She's already got a problem with alcohol and drugs. I'm not going to destroy her life. We're going to give her a second chance. I went downstairs. I said that we're giving her a second chance. She's going to go into a rehab program. By the way, she's been a tremendous success. She's gone into rehab. She hasn't had a drink or drugs, and this is 5 years ago.
That's fantastic.
She's been great. Okay,
right.
She's great. She's a good kid. But we would have destroyed her life. So Rosie O'Donnell, on The View, I guess, started going crazy. What right does he have to give anyone a second chance? Who is he to give her? So I get a call from Entertainment Tonight. Rosie O'Donnell just lit it up with regard to you.
Right.
I said, Rosie O'Donnell, I didn't even, you know, what do I know about Rosie O'Donnell? And then I hit her on it. I said, yeah, bring over a camera. So I hit her, you know, harder than she's ever been hit. Now, one thing I will say, she said to somebody that's a friend of hers, one of the worst mistakes I ever made was attacking Donald Trump because I never saw anybody come back. Remember when she hit Tom Selleck when he goes on the show to promote a movie?
So you are friends with Rosie now or not?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
There's no reason to be.
So Seth Meyers...
Rosie, look, Rosie's a lowlife. Everybody knows it, okay? Rosie is...
Well, I don't know that.
She's a bad person, Howard. Now, she may be a friend of you, but Rosie's a bad person. Seth Meyers, I really don't know him, but I just don't think he belongs there.
All right, so listen.
Can we get you to choose?
Can we get you to choose?
By the way, Howard, Miss USA
yes.
the other night was on television.
Yes.
3 hours on Sunday night. It beat the Tony Awards. It was the #1 show on television. The only thing, non-sports,
Well, I said to Robin, the reason that show is #1, the chicks are very, very hot.
Yes.
I mean,
incredible.
Miss America does not have the hot girls like you do.
No. Well, Miss America has girls with talent.
Right.
Okay.
You're not interested in
talent. If you're
talent.
going to be a concert pianist, you're most likely not going to look like the girls from Miss USA.
That's right.
It's tough. You have these girls, and they do have some pretty good talent, but then they get on and you say, wow.
No, you made a decision that Miss USA is going to be about
It's
looks.
a beauty pageant.
It's a beauty pageant.
Miss USA is, the Miss Universe, the most beautiful women in the world that anyone has ever seen is Miss Universe. Now, when I bought that 13, 14 years ago, it was a sick puppy.
Right.
And I said, well, wait a minute, this is the age-old formula, beautiful women. So I really upped it. And, these people, some of the girls coming out of, like, Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, they sort of have a monopoly. They're beyond. I mean, do you remember when I had Miss Russia on your show?
Yes.
And you destroyed her. She didn't speak English, and he was asking her questions. I won't even ask the questions, but he was asking her questions, and they had that interpreter, Stoneface, who didn't move, and he was asking her questions about who she dates.
Right.
Remember that?
That's right. Needed to know.
I do remember.
Recovered from that. Her name was Fedorova.
You always made a point, and you are so right. We fawn all over Hollywood starlets and how beautiful they are, but you always said to me,
they're not the most beautiful.
Donald Trump pointed this out. He was the first one to do this. He said to me, the Hollywood actresses are not the most beautiful women. You take these Miss Universe contestants, or you take even some of these girls that are just hanging out. They're way better looking than Hollywood actresses.
You took a girl, as an example, we have a girl now from Venezuela who's beyond superhuman in terms of her beauty. But if you took Diana Mendoza, for instance, I put her on The Apprentice 2 seasons ago, right?
Yes.
I had guys that when she got fired, it's hard to fire her, I must tell you, but man, was she beautiful. So I had guys, when she was fired, they didn't watch the show anymore. It was like I lost the whole segment.
And meanwhile, look how you've matured. You don't bang any of these chicks.
No, I don't. I'm extremely loyal to my wife.
It's incredible, right? Did you ever think in your lifetime, how long you married?
I'm a loyalist.
How long you married
9
now?
years. I'm
9
a
years.
loyalist.
No cheating, nothing.
Nothing.
Look at you.
I'm an extremely loyal person.
Are you glad that you're living a calmer life now? Because you used to fuck everyone.
Well, I do lead a calm life, and it's great. I mean,
maybe you concentrate more on business now because
I focus on business. I have a nice family.
Right.
My family's getting old enough to get into the business. So far, they've all been good. They've gone to the Wharton School of Finance, et cetera, which is the best school.
How many more years does Melania have as your wife?
Oh, unlimited.
You think so?
I think so.
This is it for life.
Great. I'll tell you what. She's been a very good. You know Melania.
Yes.
She's been very good.
Beautiful.
She's beautiful. She's solid. She's a good person. She's
good mother.
She's a great mother. She's got a great heart. And
when you're around these Miss Universe ladies,
it's amazing. But I can still appreciate.
Does she get jealous when you're?
You were saying something before, Howard, about the actresses and all. So I deal in this crazy level of beauty that's, like the most beautiful young woman from Venezuela.
Right.
Okay, that's a lot of people, right?
Right.
This most beautiful woman from Brazil, and they have contests all over Brazil, and anyway, the top one went. Okay, so I deal in this. Now, you take these people, and then you get, let's say, one of the prettiest actresses, it's not even a contest, okay? Not that matters, because beauty isn't everything, right?
All right, let me ask you about beauty. For example, who is more beautiful, Katy Perry or Rihanna?
Well, I would say Katy Perry.
You would?
Yeah, I would say Katy Perry. I would say that if you were asking me. I think a lot of people would disagree with me.
All right, who is more beautiful, Beyonce or Kate Upton?
By the way, Rihanna was another one. She was going to Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
She was going to sing for a big cancer institute in what do you call it, in Boston.
Yes.
And she was going to sing, and it was a big thing, Dana-Farber. And big cancer, they do a tremendous job up in Boston. It was in the ballroom of Mar-a-Lago. The biggest people were there, the richest people. They were all looking forward to seeing Rihanna. And guess what? She didn't show up because she said she had a bad throat. And yet the next day she was singing for an NBA game or something.
Wow.
So
why do people do that? Why do they agree to do something for charity and not show up?
But, she was singing the next day and there was no problem with her throat.
So Katy Perry wins that bracket. Beyonce or Kate Upton? Who is better looking?
Well, I like Jay-Z, so I'm not going to get into the whole Beyonce thing. Do I think she's beautiful or not? So I don't want to get into that because I don't want to insult people. And Kate Upton, I really don't know. I've seen her once in person, and she didn't have a good night the night I saw her, but I'm sure she's beautiful.
She looked rough?
The night I saw her was at that Anna Wintour dinner at the museum.
Yeah.
And she didn't have a good night that night.
What does that mean, she didn't have a good night?
She didn't look great that night, but I know she's much more beautiful.
Is that because is she too chubby to be a supermodel?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
All right. Now, who is more beautiful? Scarlett Johansson or Jennifer Lawrence?
Well, Jennifer Lawrence is the one who's been winning a lot of awards.
Yes, 3-time Academy Award.
I know Scarlett Johansson. I've been on the Tonight Show with her a couple of times where I'm a guest and she's a guest. I think they're both fine. Jennifer has a little skin problem, I would say. A little rough with the skin. Do you understand that?
I hear you.
Yes, we hear you. I don't quite get it.
We hear you.
Little polka dots all over the place.
So Scarlett Johansson is more beautiful?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
all right, finally.
I guess. I don't know.
Tell me, between Kim Kardashian and Jennifer Lopez, who is more beautiful?
Well, Kim Kardashian, you got to hand it to her, because let's face it. I mean, give me a break, okay? But she was on The Apprentice. She came on The Apprentice. Her
huge tuchus.
And she was very nice. And so I don't want to,
But she has an ass is her ass too big, Donald? Is her ass too big?
Well, absolutely.
Of course.
It's too big.
It's record setting.
But it's like, are you attracted to that gigantic?
No, that's in the old days they'd say she's got a bad body. Okay?
Right. Now Jennifer Lopez has a big ass too. People don't realize that. She does. So who is less?
Well, I don't want to say they've both been so nice to me, so I don't want to.
Yes, but if you had to have sex, with one,
I don't like being negative to people that are so nice.
I understand that, but
they've both been so nice.
You love them both, but if you had to have sex with one of them, who do you go with? Kim Kardashian?
I would pass on both.
You would never bang either one.
Yeah, I would pass on both.
That's the headline. Trump says he won't bang Kardashian or Lopez.
Howard Show.
You're going to get in trouble again. Yes.
Yeah, so I have at Real Donald Trump. Everybody tune in at Real Donald Trump. So I have millions and millions of people between Facebook and whatever. It's like millions. And every day I get at least one or two people, please do Howard Show again. You're the best guest ever on Howard Show.
Well, you are.
And now we have, Robin, two of his all-time top fives. You have the A.J. Benza event.
Right.
Yep.
But we have two of his all-time top fives, which I guess you play at the end of every year or something like that. So with all of the people that you've interviewed, to have two of your five, that's a great honor.
Let me ask you something. You know why people like you?
Robin, I've gotten many awards. One of my greatest honors.
This is one of the top?
Well, let me say something. The reason people like you is you talk like a regular guy. If I ask you who's better looking, you say, hey, Jennifer Lawrence has a bit of a skin problem. I won't go with her. People like that kind of honesty, even if they don't agree with it. Here's the question, though. If you weren't a married man, this is what everyone wants to know, because you have the ability to identify the crown jewels of the world, whether it's real estate or a restaurant. You have that ability.
By the way, I do have that ability. That's why I'm successful.
You do. That's why you're successful.
In my opinion, that's the reason I'm successful.
Absolutely. So, if you weren't married, you're a single guy right now, you're looking over the landscape, who is the woman you'd most want to have as a girlfriend? Who?
Honestly, I don't even think about it. I have a great wife.
No, you do.
I don't even think.
I know you because you can't help but think about it.
I don't even think
because you always
are
looking.
What you said before is true. The best and most beautiful women are not the women that are famous.
That's right.
The women that are famous are not even close to the best looking women. I mean, you're talking about, as an example, Kim Kardashian. Okay.
Right.
Now, come on, give me a break. Okay, let's not even talk about it. But she's a very nice person.
Were you surprised a guy as famous and could have all the women in the world as Kanye West? Were you surprised he married her?
Or is going to marry?
Or whatever.
Well, hey, look, whatever makes him happy. I don't.
But you were shocked.
He's another guy. He's like a Trump fan. He did a song with my name in it. How about that song done by Mac Miller? Did you ever hear of Mac Miller?
No.
He's a white rapper. He did a song called Donald Trump, and he's got 93 million hits. Can you believe it?
Look at that. Everyone.
No. But Kanye West has always been nice to me. So, you know what? My attitude is whatever makes them happy, Howard. And you know the expression, that's why they have menus in restaurants? I mean, I go to a restaurant, I want steak. Somebody else likes peas.
Hey, I meant to ask you, because one of my brackets, we never even got to it. I was going to ask you, who do you hate more, Bill Maher or Jon Stewart? Because I know you're at war with those guys, too. Maher, you sued, right, for $5 million?
No, we were playing.
You never sued him?
No, he made a statement that if I did something, whatever,
He'd give me $5 million. You know, he's angry. Now, the reason he's angry because I didn't do a show. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do a show. I would have done a show. I think he's perfectly fine.
Right.
I really do. I think he's perfectly fine, and he's an entertainer. He's on the other side of the platter, but he's an entertainer.
Right.
And I have nothing against Bill Maher. But the thing is that I wasn't able to do a show because, honestly, my time is very valuable. Even doing your crazy show.
Right.
My time is very hard.
I understand that and appreciate
like
that.
When I go now, I'm going to like a massive meeting of a lot of people from all over the country. And, you know, it's hard to do a show because it's hard to find the time. I like to do the shows, but it's hard to find the time.
But Jon Stewart, you're angry with.
So I couldn't do a show. And because I couldn't do a show, he started hitting me. And I understand that. You know what? If I were a host, and if I called Trump 10 times to do the show, and he's called me more than that, and I see him at a restaurant, he was perfectly nice and very nice. He said, oh, you got to do my show. And I said, I will. And I will. I mean, I would have.
Right.
And, you know, now I think it would be a little bit awkward to say the truth.
Yes.
But I would have. Okay. But if I were a host, and if somebody, you know, didn't do my show, I would hit them like crazy. It's just natural instinct.
So you expect this.
But Jon Stewart, you don't like, because when you were talking about Obama, you know, whether or not he was born in this country, Stewart took a shot at you, so you went to war with him, too.
Well, he takes shots at me all the time. I don't dislike that. I mean, you know, they also...
It's part of being in the public eye.
I mean, they hit my hair. I don't know. What's the big story? It is my hair. You do understand it.
No, I understand. I've had you tested.
Explain that to your viewers.
It is your hair.
No, they say, oh, he wears the word. I had a story about 2 weeks ago, one of the major newspapers, saying that I'm a genius. It was like the best story you could get. That he's loaded, his deals are the best deals, he's the greatest deal, but he wears the worst hairpiece. I can't even send people the story.
And that, yeah,
I guess I could crutch out that one line, maybe.
Well,
but
listen.
I can't even send people the story.
You always have so much to say. I love it when you're on the show.
Well,
you know that.
I love being on the show, actually. It's a lot of energy.
There's energy there. There really is.
Well, there's energy between you and I. That's what people say. They say, please do Howard Show. You and he have the best energy.
Who is going to be the Republican nominee for president? Could it be Chris Christie? I like this guy.
It's very, very tough right now for Chris. He's a friend of mine. It's very, very tough. He's got to get rid of that problem. It's overhanging. Everybody.
Your GW Brady.
How does he get rid of that? How can he get rid of it?
It could take a long time. It could take a long time.
But would you like to see him?
I like him. I mean, look, he's a friend of mine. I had dinner with him a week ago, and I saw him 2 weeks ago. But it's a very, very tough situation. And the other side and his opponents are using that to a fare thee well. It's rough. Look, beating Hillary is not going to be easy. They have to find the perfect candidate, or they're not going to win. I'll tell you where the Republicans are going to do very well, though, is in November. They're going to crush. November, the Republicans are going to take over the Senate, and they're going to get more House seats.
Because people are fed up with
they're tired with Obama. They hate Obama. They cannot stand the job he's doing, and he's just getting worse and worse.
But he got reelected.
What is going on, though?
It's amazing. And honestly, something happened to Mitt Romney. I mean, that was an election that couldn't be lost. And something happened to Romney at the end that was disastrous.
But what is happening with these two-term presidents? We have, you know, George Bush was roundly hated in his second term, and so was Obama.
Well, it's a long time.
What are we doing? We hire these people, and then we don't like them.
Right. It's a long time. They're under massive pressure, and honestly, they're not very competent to start off with. George Bush is not a very competent person, and Obama's not a very competent person.
Well, you know, a lot of competent people don't want to go into public service
and a lot of
anymore.
See, our best people don't want to go through the abuse.
They don't. They don't want to be in the public service because they get the shit beaten out of them.
Is it true? The guy has a happy marriage. He had one affair 29 years ago, but he's running a major company, setting records. He's the greatest guy, tough, smart. But 29 years ago, they say, is it true that during your marriage you were with so-and-so? Right now the guy's blown out, his wife. They don't want to go through that.
No, it's...
You can fully understand it.
Absolutely.
It's a very, very tough thing. So we get incompetent people to lead the country.
Are you trying to buy the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I'm going to look at it, Howard. I'm going to look at it. I have a lot of friends up in Buffalo. They'd love me to do it. I'll take a look at it. But I also have to make deals. If I don't get something for a fair price, and it could be even higher than a fair price, but it can't be a crazy price. So,
but what do you think of this Donald Sterling? Are you friends with Donald Sterling?
I really don't know him well.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said you knew him.
I mean, he's been to my office once or twice. He called. You know, it's sort of funny. He would call me. I don't know him, but he'd call me. He'd say, I'd love to meet you. And he'd come to my office, and he was perfectly nice.
Would he start screaming the N-word?
No, he really didn't. He just come up to the office out of respect, and I talked to him for 20 minutes, and that was probably twice over the last...
$2 billion he's being offered, and I think he's thinking about... He's turning it down,
Well, there's a thing that if he were, let's say, in the mode to sell, and he said, without all this happening, and he said, I'm going to sell my team, he would have gotten $800 million.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I like that you pointed out the controversy created a firestorm.
Right. The controversy has made him at least $1 billion too.
Wow. And so when you look at this guy, shouldn't he just take the money and run?
Well, at some point he should. He's been, embarrassed himself, and it's a very tough situation.
You know, one thing I will say, what is with our country that now everybody's taping everybody? Like, this guy said something in private. I'm not saying what he said was right, but what he said it in private. Next thing you know, he's being pushed out of the NBA.
Well, then his so-called friend calls him and gets him talking, and that guy goes and sells it for $25,000. You know,
He
has no good friends, is what it is.
In the cell phone age, where now they make these cell phones where you press a button and you're on tape every time, it's really a very, very serious problem. And, in our country, we're so politically correct. So the people that are knocking the hell out of Sterling, and I'm no Sterling fan, but, they act like they've never said anything bad.
Holier than thou.
I hear some of the statements that they've made over the years.
Right, absolutely.
Well, that's what Sterling is saying in his suit, is that, the NBA owners are hypocrites.
Well,
are the Buffalo Bills like an undervalued property right now? Like, you could take that property if you could get a hold of it, and you could probably really jack up the attendance and all that kind of
Well, if I got it, I'd make it successful. I just don't know. There'll be many bidders.
What's the right price?
What's going to happen? I don't know. It's valued at over $800 million, and I'll bid, and I don't need partners or anything, which is always nice when you don't have to put together groups of people, because that gets to be, complicated and not so nice.
Right.
But so I'll bid. I think I'll bid, but I have no idea whether or not I'll get it.
And it's closed bidding.
If somebody wants to pay what I call stupid money, I'm not interested.
So it's closed. So you never get emotional. In other words, you don't say, I gotta have a sports team. I gotta have a sports team, and I'm just going to go to the match.
I sometimes get a little bit emotional. I really wanted Turnberry. I mean, Turnberry to me was very important in Scotland.
Have you ever made a bad deal in business? Have you ever made a bad business deal where you said, I bought something, and 2 minutes later you go, shit, I paid too much?
I make bad deals, and you learn from them, and then you sort of recoup, and I've made some bad deals that I turned into good deals.
Right.
I've made a few deals that were bad deals because the market crashed. You make a deal, it's fine, and then the market crashes, and now you have to live by your wits. So you go back and you negotiate with the banks, and you negotiate with everybody, and you turn it into a good deal. But I've made bad deals that have turned into great deals, actually.
You might end up bidding against Bon Jovi for the Bills. I heard he wants to buy that.
That'd be fine. He's a nice guy, by the way, and that'd be fine. So we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. All right, listen, I'll let you go. I know you have
couldn't
meetings.
Couldn't get you through the brackets
Yeah,
today.
couldn't get you through the brackets.
Well, that's good. That's why I wanted to talk a lot so that you couldn't. Because
but I'll tell you,
nothing good happens from those brackets.
Well, I'll tell you.
Robin, when I was on a show years ago, he was holding up pictures of supermodels.
Yes.
That I happen to know. And he was going, how great was she? How great was she? Do you remember those incredible...
Yeah, well, you banged a bunch of them.
That's when a supermodel was a supermodel. You don't have that so much today.
Who is a supermodel today?
You don't have too many of them.
You really don't, do you?
Giselle? In the old days...
Is Giselle a supermodel, or is her face not good enough?
She's the wife of a great friend of mine, Tom Brady, who's a fantastic guy. And she certainly is. But you don't have too much of that today. The old days you'd have... I mean, they were
a lot of them, yeah.
You almost completed the hot chick bracket because when you go down to it, Katy Perry versus Scarlett Johansson, we were almost in the finals on that one.
Yeah, well, hey, look, they're both fine.
They're both fine. Look, it's he's a more mature Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
You're not going to get him today.
There was a time when he would just say, fuck them all, and that's it.
Well, unfortunately, I've become a little bit more political.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I think you have to do. I think that you are for gay marriage, but I think because you are a Republican and you toy with the idea of getting the nomination, I think you can't publicly come out and say that you're for gay marriage, but I think you are. I do. I believe that you are.
Well, we won't get into that very hot subject, Howard, but you do know how I feel, and we won't get into that hot subject.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't care.
Am I right? You don't give a... You know what? Let everybody be in love. Who cares?
Well, okay. I mean...
Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, people feel very differently about the subject, but we'll talk about that sometime.
Where's your head at on it? Tell me the truth.
I don't want to talk about that now.
You know what that means? That means he agrees with me.
We'll talk about it sometime.
When are we going to talk about it?
Anytime you want.
All right. Listen, Donald Trump, he just bought a place in Scotland. We're going to all go over.
Turnberry.
But, he, listen.
Do you play golf, Donald? No. Wow.
I do.
You do?
Are you any good?
I've actually won many club championships. And your father-in-law has to use, who's a golfer, has to use my club in Palm Beach.
I brought my father-in-law
I've won 18 club championships, if you can believe it. Yeah,
wow.
I've been, over the years, I've been a good golfer. And I haven't lost it. It's funny, you know, at a certain age, you lose it. So far, I haven't lost it. In fact, I think I'm pretty much as good today as I ever was. But when I lose it, it's going to be a very, very sad day in the clubhouse.
I'm going to have to play you in golf. You know, I took 4 hours for 4 holes. I played the other day. They said this is the longest anyone has ever been on the course for 4 holes, and that was a world record. So I'm holding records, too.
Wow, I love it. Well, you know, when you're in Palm Beach, you'll play my course, and you'll love it, and you'll take your father-in-law, and you'll have a good time.
I'll walk him around there. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Well, I love being, and there is a great energy, and I love being on the show. And
love having you.
Take care of this man.
Come in here one of these days.
I will.
All right.
I will, Howard.
The great Donald Trump. There you go. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
There he is. You heard everything. Now you know. Now Donald Trump has said it all.
Oh, my goodness.
Let me see if I can... Yeah, there. Wow. So he did say Kim Kardashian's ass is too big.
And so is J-Lo's.
And so is J-Lo's. And he's right.
If I could pick the newsmaker today, it's his discussion of Jennifer Lawrence's complexion. Will be
She has a skin problem.
Oh, he doesn't understand it.
Yeah, he doesn't understand it. I don't understand it. None of us understand it. I didn't know she had a skin problem.
You haven't looked at her?
No. I mean...
See it?
I never noticed. I don't know.
Something. You better get those glasses fixed.
I saw her on, I think, the Seth Meyers show or Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, one of the shows. And
maybe she had good coverage that day.
She looked good to me. I don't know. But you see, he knows his stuff.
You can see it. I don't think it's a secret.
Whether it's a property or a woman or whatever, he knows how to look something over.
He knows how to spot him.
Jeez, when he sees me, I hide my head in shame because he must be looking me over going, Jesus Christ.
Thank goodness you're not a woman, because I don't think he notices.
Well, I ate at that Mar-a-Lago. I took my in-laws and then my wife. And Donald turned his whole... He was at the table, and he turns his chair to look at me to see what's doing. I said, oy vey. I'm probably getting evaluated right now. And it was, you know, anybody...
He doesn't waste his time evaluating men.
Oh, no. He looks over what I'm up to. Wow. What an explosive interview. I think.
I think if Donald won't run for president, I'm going to have to do it.
Oh, you'd be terrific. You're presidential already. And you know how to walk off a plane. I've seen you. You don't bounce down the steps.
Bouncing down, there'll be lots of respect.
Right. Wouldn't that be something? I would back you. I would back you.
And no more of this, they're wonderful on TV and hating them in person.
Right. Good
Behind
for you.
closed doors.
Good for
More
you.
respect and let's rebuild this country.
Yeah.
That's my platform.
Well, you sound like Donald Trump now. All right, why don't I take a break, and we'll come back right after these words.
People that say it's a quarter till this time, that shit has always angered me.
Why? That's some of those...
Okay, what's a... I didn't learn this till this year. A quarter doesn't mean 25 minutes. It's a 9:15, 9:25.
Completely wrong. Completely wrong.
What is... So it's 15?
Correct.
What? Tell me what the... How does that make sense? Explain that to me.
Because a quarter... You're thinking straight to currency.
Yes.
A quarter is a fourth. That's all a quarter is.
Well, okay.
A quarter is a fourth of anything. It's a fourth of anything. Don't think of the actual...
I don't understand that.
A fourth. A quarter of 10 is 2.5.
2.5, 25. Where is this 15 coming? Yeah, where's 15 coming from?
60. An hour is 60 minutes, so if you break it into fourths, a quarter
25,
is 15.
50. When did we start speaking in currency? Like, when I say it's $1.30 until 18, what am I supposed to, like, it's $1.30 till noon? Who are we?
It's $1.30 till 18. If you fused currency and military time, people are going to think you just walked out of a spaceship.
And you fail. Hey, Gary, you think you could call Trump and just tell me you have one question? We just want to know on a scale of 1 to 10.
What, Megyn Kelly is?
Yeah.
I'll call right now.
Call and see if you can just grab him. Tell him it's a 30-second interview.
Because we know he's busy.
Yeah. What is it, Gary? What happened to Trump?
So I just spoke to Mr. Trump's assistant, who I've been dealing with for years. He's doing an interview.
Oh.
He's got another interview at 11:10. So she's going to talk to him as soon as this interview is over.
We won't talk to him.
Did you tell her we just have one question?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's going to call me back.
Yeah, we just want to know Megyn Kelly. What is she?
But we'll be out of here by the time he gets done.
He'll be the next one's 11:10. She said he had 5 minutes left in this interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got like
a little window.
Yeah, a little window.
Yeah, we just need 30 seconds. But it's spontaneous, so I understand if he's busy. Ask his assistant what Megyn Kelly is.
Maybe he says it around the office.
Right.
Mr. Trump is on the phone.
Oh, good.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
He does not want to answer the question.
Oh, no.
He doesn't want to answer that question. He says, listen, he don't want to get into that, but he knows that you've been very supportive of the campaign, and he would like to thank you.
Well, you could ask him if he's going to make you a Supreme Court justice.
I'm interested in that, too.
But he doesn't want to talk about that other thing.
Mr. Trump.
Howard.
First of all, congratulations on your whole I mean, can you believe how popular you are?
It's been crazy. Just this minute, a public policy polling came out in New Hampshire, and I'm 35%, and second place is 11. And it's only because, I'm sure it's only because over the years I've done your show, Robin, and I hope, is that Robin? Because I just heard a voice.
It is. You could actually be the president.
Yeah.
Like this is starting to look like a reality.
The country is doing very poorly, and we will make the country do well. But, a public policy just came out in New Hampshire, 35. One just came out in South Carolina, where I'm in the mid-30s. And,
you didn't expect this, did you? Seriously. I mean, this big, this fast?
Well, it may be this fast, too. The intensity and the speed, and a lot of things have happened, and I'm very honored by it.
Do you really want to be president? Because I look at your life, especially what's going on down at Mar-a-Lago and stuff.
It's a step down to live in the White House.
The White House is a horrible place to live compared to your Mar-a-Lago. Seriously,
don't forget, Robin, Howard's been saying this to me for 2 years.
I know.
And you know what I want to do? I want to do a good job. That's what I want to do.
You want to know something?
There's so many things, Howard, that could be straightened out so quickly. You talk about China, the way they've been ripping us, and now they're taking us down with, all of the things that they've done. And I can solve for that's what I'm really good at. You understand? And I can solve those problems. We have the cards.
I remember with the skating rink, you solved that pretty quick.
The skating rink, yeah.
And Melania will be the hottest first lady ever in the White House.
Well,
ever.
she'll be a great first lady, and she is a terrific person, as you know. And it's good. So I'm having a lot of fun. I'm going to Iowa.
Have you given any thoughts to a vice president?
Not. I like to do one thing at a time, and the one thing I want to do is I want to win, and then I'll worry about it. But there are a lot of good people.
I was
around.
thinking you might have to choose one of these guys. You're actually like a Rubio or something, even though you're not even that high on these guys.
Yeah. Well, some of them I respect. I mean, I don't respect everybody, but some of them I respect, and some are worthy, and some aren't. And there are a lot of good people around, frankly. And the vice president is actually a very important position. It's always been an underrated position. But
here's my question.
Well, there are a lot of positions that will
people.
have to be filled.
I mean, the only reason I was bothering you is with this whole Megyn Kelly question about what she is on a 1 to 10 scale, but I see you don't want to answer that.
Well, in the old days, I would not have minded answering that question, but today I'll take a pass.
Now that you're going to be president, right?
Nowadays, I'll take a pass.
That could follow you.
See, Robin, you learn with age, right? You learn with age.
But I have but you could do? You could tap on the phone the number, and then, you know what I'm saying? But here's the other question.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine. And Fox has been fine. Roger Ailes is an amazing guy.
As long as I got you,
they've been very fair.
As long as I got you there. What about me being a Supreme Court justice? Any thoughts about that? Would that be a joke? I mean, I am a judge on TV.
You would be. First of all, you are a very. Who knows Howard better than me, Robin? Right?
You.
Right. People don't know the real Howard. People say, "What's Howard like?" And I know him for a long time.
Long time.
And Howard is I'm going to ruin your reputation.
Go ahead.
In a very positive way. Howard is a much different person than people understand. He's the warmest, nicest guy. When you're with him in person, you leave and you say, what a nice guy. And then you hear him on radio and he's a total maniac. And you can't change. Okay?
Here's the one thing I want out of your presidency.
Howard's the best guy in the world. I mean, he's a great guy. And sometimes I'll explain that to people. and they don't get it. You know.
So is there a possibility of an appointment?
Probably not. But, if you
I think I'll tell you what. In terms of brain power, he's right at the top.
There you go.
Smart cookie.
But here's the one thing I want. If you really do pull this off, I want to go to Camp David. I think if the American public, this is the thing you ought to do. You ought to go in there and open it up so people could see what's going on.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on.
There'll be a revolution in this country because I think they got something going on there where these guys all check out. In other words, they all get lazy. They all start going to Camp David every minute. I want to go there and see what's doing so I can report to the public.
You know what happens, Howard? They go to Washington, and all of a sudden they become different people. They
Like
run,
kings.
and they're these wonderful guys, and they run, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. They're going to do everything.
They do nothing.
And then they get there and do nothing. And even well-meaning people, they do nothing. I cannot let that happen with me.
Well, you know why it won't happen with you? You want to know why it won't happen with you? And you can tell the American people this.
Go ahead.
You already lived the life.
Yeah, you're not going to be impressed with anything.
And so the fact that you want to be president means you actually might want to do something.
Yeah, that's very true. It's not going to happen to me, okay?
Could you
And
get
by the
rid
way,
of-
if you see a little inkling of it, Robin, the two of you immediately call me. and
slap
say,
you around, yeah.
Listen, get back. But no, I've seen it so often, and I see people. I support people, and they're these great people, men, women, and then they get to Washington, and I guess they look up at these beautiful buildings.
And they get hypnotized.
Look where I am, and yeah, they're afraid to do anything.
I want you to blow up the moon.
Oh, here you go again.
The moon.
Blow up
the moon.
I do. I want you to blow up the moon. Here, are you afraid
See,
of?
this
Are
is
you
going to
afraid?
keep you from an appointment.
Are you afraid of Joe Biden?
No, I think Joe Biden would be fun to run against, frankly.
Who would you rather run against, Hillary or Joe?
I think it's irrelevant. I think Hillary has been very badly damaged. I think the email thing is maybe
You think
gonna
she's
keep her
done?
from running. I don't know. I've been saying, General Petraeus did much less than her. The documents were of far less importance, and they destroyed his life. Right?
He was disgraced.
They gave him essentially 2 years, and you don't have to serve.
Right.
And she's done far more documents, much more. I mean, she wiped out a server after she got a subpoena from the United States Congress, right? So, I mean, how much worse can you be than that? But the documents were very classified, and it just seems to me like she's got problems. Now, her only hope is the Democrats are running things right now. Maybe they're not going to prosecute her. That's her only hope.
Hey,
because
what would you
she
do?
did is probably criminal.
What are you going to do day one? Let's say you pull this off and you become president. Day one, what do you do?
Hey, Howard, I have one big call coming in. Hold it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I won't keep
right
you.
Back?
Go ahead. You do your thing.
You know what? Hey, Howard, I tell you what, they're waiting for me.
All right, go ahead.
Well, it's good to talk to you.
I just wanted the Megyn
I love
Kelly
you
thing.
too,
All right.
guys. I'll tell you what. You know what I'm going to do if I'm president? I'm going to do a great job. That's what I'm going to do. There's so many things we're going to do, but we're going to do a great job, and we're going to take care of the country.
All right,
That
I'll
I
talk
can
to you
tell
later.
And you're the best.
All
And
right,
I
you
really
too.
appreciate it. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Don.
Howard.
Mr. Trump, thank you. There's your
President Trump.
President Trump. Guy's on a tear.
That's amazing.
I told him to tear
Now
down
he's
the
up
White
to
House.
35%.
I told him to tear down the White House and build a new one. I'm going to believe me, you and I are going to be going to the White House a lot.
Yeah.
By the way, Hillary Clinton called into our back office and said that Megyn Kelly's a 5. She's not afraid of that question.
She's going to have to say all kinds of outrageous things.
Donald's at 35.
Yeah.
This could actually happen. I thought, yeah, but I think he's going to be the nominee.
This is amazing.
And he is motivated because think about it. He already lives the life. Like a lot of these guys, like Obama or Bush, any of them, they get in and they're kind of hypnotized.
But the truth is that, he grew up with, he was wealthy, but he still had a desire to run a company and to build it into an even greater company. He's always been a driven man.
When we get some time with him, I'm going to tell him my whole concept about getting rid of daylight savings time, which I've presented to you in the past. And
why would you want to do that?
I hate it. I hate that change of time, especially for morning radio. You do too.
But, in the summer, you get so many more daylight hours to play around with.
It's winter I'm concerned about.
Yeah. And they ended at wintertime.
Yeah, I want him to keep it.
I was going to comment on something else, but it's impossible for me to ignore the events in the Oval Office earlier today. Anybody watches this saw it. But there's something clear. There's an expression here in South Louisiana you mostly hear it from black people, and they'll say, that boy ain't right. And if somebody's obviously having some kind of a personality disorder or whatever. Well, when you look at Trump, the first thing that comes to your mind, that boy ain't right. And we've seen so much, and we've gotten so hoo-ha, and all of the crazy things that he does. What was the cause of this? A man who's obviously for a long time been in decline, who's fat, who doesn't sleep at night, who eats nothing but hamburgers and crap, who's almost 80 years old. There's a tendency to just ascribe it to the normal process of being overweight and having a bad diet and lack of sleep and accumulation of age. And I'm a guy, I like to ask questions. I like to speculate on things, but that's why we have this YouTube channel. That's why you viewers and listeners, that's why we get along as well as we do. That maybe I had a point considerably earlier than this when I pointed out on this very channel where Trump had red splotches on his hand, which I was told by any number of medical professionals that when you see that condition, the first thing that you suspect is syphilis. We know from any number of videos that his wife doesn't want to get in the same zip code as him. If you had a spouse that had syphilis, I'm not saying he does. I mean, let me be clear. I'm just asking questions. But what you saw is madness. And I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you, you mad at me, you didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness. And it could be a combination of being a fat fucking slob, which of course he is. It could be that he can't sleep at night because his beached whale body can't allow the circulation it needs. I don't know. I'm not a sleep specialist or a medical doctor. But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis. But I don't think we can discount the fact that what we saw was mad. I'm not going to concede that I'm just asking questions. I'm just making an observation that everyone saw. We know that boy ain't right. But we know this represents a significant deterioration. We're going to keep exploring I don't want to call it a syphilis diagnosis because I'm certainly not able, I'm not qualified or trained to diagnose anything, much less syphilis. But we got to do a little research here and we got to see, does this fit an overall explanation? Would this or the mental issues that come in, I don't know if it's tertiary or secondary syphilis. I'm really not schooled enough, or all I know it could be gonorrhea. I mean, but there's some possibility that we have watched the effects of the latent STD, I guess called sexually transmitted disease, because I'm just doing this kind of without consultation, but I'm just asking questions. And my question is this: could this dramatic event, this deterioration, this unlike any other event in history, could there be a scientific explanation for why it happened? Thank you, and hopefully we can come back at some point with something a little more pleasant than does the president have symptoms of advanced syphilis. I don't know, but I'm asking questions. Thank you.